Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. We were a bit delayed here, but we're now live here in the cage, Sportier cage that is. If you're not in the cage, you're not in the game. A little role reversal here as we have GM, who looks like Terry Tam. Well, you look like Terry Tam today.
I do.
In the producer's role. And we have the man replacing Marty and Peasy, who's gone to the second chair.
Yeah, it's exciting. Exciting times. I know for those of you expecting to see the ugly face of Matt Kerouac, you're welcome.
Well, you're better looking than Matt Kerouac.
Obviously.
Yeah, he's right there.
He's always over our shoulder.
Absolutely.
He always says he was concussed. I think he just didn't know how to smile properly in that photo.
I heard Kerouac was on the road again this week.
Yeah, the Alberta Rockies serving cookies and tea to the people on the train ride. Speaking of train rides, let's talk about the big game this week, the controversial game that was R&D wins 38-33 over the Gladiators. Marco Massiotto, 5 TDs, 3 INTs. In fact, he had 8 different players that caught 1 ball. Alex Lieber, 2 TDs. Frank LeBeau, 5 TDs, 1 INT. We've seen the video. We'll talk about that very shortly here. But in one word, describe this game. Peasy.
This game or that ending?
Anything.
Anything? I'll describe the ending because when I got to the field, it was right towards the end, and the Eagle on Master Control came running to me with his cell phone to show me the video. And the word I would use to describe it is truculent. Because of that was everyone's response. But to be honest, when you see something like and let's describe the ending for those who didn't see the game. Essentially, ball was thrown up. Roosters and Donkeys were up by 5. Ball's thrown up on the last play by Frank LeBeau. It's caught in the front corner of the end zone by Pat Jerome, who clearly from the video evidence that we've seen has 2 feet in bounds and possession. However, it was called incomplete in the game. I would just say it's a tough call to make, and it's tough to see that the receiver had his hands on the ball and 2 feet in. And I spoke to the referee after the game, and he told me, he's like, you know what? Look, the video, he had 2 feet in. From what I saw, I thought he had 1 foot and dragged the other, and it just didn't make it in bounds. So you know what? It's a hard call to make. It's hard to see it at full speed and not have the ideal angle in the video like we saw. But you know what? It sucks. It sucks for the Glads. That being said, these kind of things happen. Don't put yourself in a position where the referees can lose you the game.
And let's just point out, Pat Jerome was in tight cover. There was the Roosters and Donkeys player in tight coverage. I think it was Jock Void, and it was a jump ball basically. So it was a lot of feet coming down. There was a lot to look at, whether it was possession or feet at the same time, and it was right on the sideline. So definitely a hard call to make.
All right, GM, your thoughts?
I guess my one word would be contested. Not just that play, but the game in general was close. It was neck and neck. We've mentioned that if there's a team that's not one of the 2 powerhouses, so not Roosters and Donkeys or Montreal Silence who are going to step up, it is Gladiator. They're the dark horse team right now who are most poised for upset throughout the playoffs. I would say it shows that our officials are fallible, that they're human as well, where someone will say, look, from my angle then, it looked like he was out of bounds, but same as everyone else. Like, obviously, referees aren't blind. It is a judgment call, but when someone says, yes, I looked at the video too, and he's clearly in bounds, like, we know that we all make mistakes, and not only that, but they've owned up to it as well.
Hey, we should start filming people at their jobs and see what that turns out to look like.
No, that would look ugly.
I handle people's finances. That's a bad idea.
You shouldn't be watching those videos at work, Jim.
That would be bad.
Does Mokan wear pants at work?
Doubtful. He doesn't wear pants in life, so...
When you look at this game, let's say R&D did lose this football game. How much chaos would that have ensued afterwards with them losing? Because they could have fallen to 3rd place, and Montreal's finals could have been controlling their playoff destiny as a potential 1 seed, and Glads could very well be in the 1 seed if they're able to win out the rest of the way.
There would be a slight chance that the final won't be between Roosters and Donkeys and Montreal's Finest. Thank you, Jim. For some reason, I didn't remember the most popular team in the FPF. But yeah, there would be a slight chance that wouldn't be the final game, and it might happen a little bit earlier, but I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think they caused much chaos. Most of what we can expect from Div A has already been set, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show as well.
Okay, I'll ask you two guys this question here. What can the Glads take away? Well, there's this guy over here, Eagle. What can the Glads take away from this near victory that they had in their hands?
Everything. They know they're on the right track. the game was decided on one play. Most plays, when the score comes down, can go one way or the other. This one was swayed a little bit more by a referee rather than a player who contestant got their hand on the ball. However, they know that they're close. They're within reach of the top dogs in every game they've played. They're a very, very solid contender. I don't think they need to make any changes. I think they just need to continue as they are right now.
Puzzles?
I think it shows that they can run with the top two dogs, and you know what? Like I said, like had the shakedown happen, you know what? They could have very well led to a game between Montreal's Finest and Roosters Donkeys earlier than the finals because of the fact that the Glads will potentially beat everyone else other than those two teams in the finals, and even in the playoffs. And even at that, they've shown they can run with them. So they know themselves what they need to do to get it done. Execution, however, is going to be the other question as to whether or not they can actually do it.
How awesome would have that been if it was a finalist R&D semifinals?
Annoying, actually.
That's a repeat of winter 2015.
Yeah.
It would start to work towards your point that it's not the greatest rivalry in
No, it
history.
isn't. Kevin Wyeth has briefed with you about that. Anyway,
Okay.
Dark Starters.
Lots of people are wrong. It happens.
No, we're just interesting. Dark
Is that even the biggest rivalry in all of FPF?
No, it's not.
I feel like I know I'm dating myself here, so only like a handful of people
I
get
wish
it.
I
But I
could
feel like
date myself.
the biggest rivalry was Shockers and Monarchs. There was so much smack talk throughout those two teams throughout the years.
Yeah,
For
but those
who
games
don't
happen in
know-
black and white. They don't count.
For those who don't know, those are two teams
That's
from the
offensive.
early part of the decade in 2008, 2009, and parts of 2010. Dark Stars, Monstars, a 2020 tie in which the Dark Stars made the greatest comeback in FPF history, being undermanned yesterday with no Fred Morrison at quarterback, Benny Griffin at the helm. He was 17 of 37 for 3 TDs and 155 yards. Rod and Matt Stub, 2 TDs, 3 INTs. John Lewis, 2 TDs. I'll ask this question here, PC, because this is your topic. Well, this is your strength over here. Should Monstars be really disappointed losing, essentially, quote unquote, even though they tied to a depleted Dark Starters team?
Be disappointed or be delusional, because
Both?
well, if they're not disappointed, they are delusional. Because I know when they went home that night, they spent a couple extra minutes in the shower. They stayed up just a little bit longer. When they went to the washroom, it wasn't quite the consistency they wanted, because they know deep down in their bowels that they let the game get away and that they tied a team that was missing 4 of its best players. However, I will say the scolding I got from Simon Dagenet after the game was, who cares? You guys still had enough talent to beat them. And you know what? That's on us. It was on us to...
Hold on. For Simon Dagenet, talent is a foreign word in his vocabulary for his teams.
I guess sometimes you know what it looks like when you don't have it. So, I mean,
From
like...
afar.
Yeah. Exactly. But honestly, like if they don't get why, and I understand Ryan Reedy's hurt, and yes, he's a big piece of that team, but you played a team without their normal quarterback who's been playing great.
At the same time, no disrespect, because Ryan Reedy is one of my is a close friend of mine and is one of my favorite players in FPF. Ryan would not have contributed as much to that game as we think, with Benny Goodfriend being a pure pocket passer, taking a deep snap, quick release
But
throw.
as a receiver, though,
As a receiver, that's fair.
He would have added, because honestly, after one deep pass to Isaiah Allard, the Monsters averaged only 7 yards a pass.
And
for
the
the rest of the
three INTs that they threw was to Kevin Gauthier's side, and all of them were picked off. Don't throw to Kevin Gauthier.
Actually,
Also-
you should keep throwing to Kevin Gauthier against Darksiders.
Also, to interject, the biggest comeback in FPF history actually happened to Eagle's team, Hot Boys Hotline, where they were up 18-0 because the team failed to show up
Yes,
and then
winter
lost
season.
that game
Dope Boys.
against Dope Boys.
That being said, he didn't say the biggest, he said the greatest comeback.
No, that's the greatest as well.
All right, was this I think this was a classic boxing match. This had, a 12-rounder label to it. Punch for punch, blow for blow. It seemed like they had you guys on the ropes. You had them on the ropes. Obviously, there was, again, the referee ruling it right with the right away or right clear path foul going the other way.
Yeah, essentially
For extra
on a
points.
convert, and I'm going to repeat the rule here because I'm on the rules committee and I forgot this rule existed.
Last man back?
No, it wasn't even last man back. If on a convert, a player who's not last man gets called for an infraction after a change of possession, an interception, the opposing team gets a chance at a convert. So I've actually seen it poorly and wrongly officiated a couple times this season. I would like to count at least 2 this season alone.
But you got to see it officiated right.
And I got to see it officiated right. And you know what? Like, a lot of people go on the Facebook walls and will hammer referees when they get something wrong. So I want to make sure I went and I posted when Tom Cesare got it right, and I made an ass of myself. So honestly, it was well officiated. It sucked for us because we would have won the game had it not been for that. But you know what? It was the right call, and it had the impact on the game that it should have had.
And it's a great rule too.
It's a cool rule. Honestly, it makes the league unique. It's fun.
This tie, how much does this help and hurt Monstars and Dark Stars? I'll start with you, Pease, and you can jump in, GM.
I don't think it affects either of these teams, really. I know Monsters have a particularly difficult schedule facing 6+R and Predators coming up. But look, these teams have clinched, and both these teams are expected to be two of the favorites to make it to the finals. So I don't think it has that much of an impact at all.
GM?
I agree. First of all, this is also the second tie for the Monstars, though, so it brings them up to 1 essential win.
5-1 and 2.
It's like they lost 1-1. They split them.
I think is a cause for concern, not in this division.
No.
I think with the playoffs being so clear-cut in B right now and such few teams, it wouldn't be as bad as, say, a tie in Division C or Division D. Division D, especially where there's more teams. The more teams you have, the more a tie hurts you and essentially becomes a loss.
And these are 2 teams that have clinched for a couple weeks already.
Yeah.
And again, they're in the top tier of the division, and again, have a chance to be playing on the final Saturday or Sunday. Final Sunday of the season.
August 8th, I believe, is the
That's the
date
one.
of the finals, which is a Saturday.
Saturday?
Yeah.
That means the bar is open. That's awesome. At Brossard.
That's true. Very,
Yeah,
very
buddy.
true. Wolverines Vocation quickly here, guys. Wolverines win 33-26. Tony Tibet, 5 TDs. Phil Cutler, 4 TD passes here. The Wolverines, winners of their last 2. As we approach the playoffs here, they got to win at least 1 of 2 left on their schedule. PZ, are they a team that no one wants to play if they get into the tournament?
I think that's been the case from the beginning of the season. Wolverines aren't a team that will win on knowledge of the game and experience alone. They don't have the athleticism that a lot of the other teams have, but they can be a surprise for a high seed or for a mid seed heading into the playoffs. Honestly, you know what? Like, I don't. Will we be seeing them at the championship? Maybe. I don't particularly see it going that way. That being said, they're going to upset some teams in the playoffs.
GM?
I think so too. We don't give the Wolverines enough credit. When they struggle, we're the first to jump down their throats, but when they do well, they don't get as much credit as they should, I feel, because we deem, for whatever reason, that they play old FPF style football, but it works for them. They do really well at it, and they're former Division B champions.
And Division B finalists from last spring as well.
Yeah, so former winners, finalists last spring. They know what they're doing in B. They're perfect for the cap. It's a team that's not too strong or too weak. They're just right, and I think that they have that potential. I think so long as everyone's on the same page and Tony Tibet and his receivers aren't having a meltdown. Like, there's times where they expect better of each other and they're the first to critique each other. As long as that's not happening, they're golden.
I look at this quickly here, guys. I think the Wolverines, they're an older team because young guys don't want to play this year, which is fine, but I feel like they're gelling at the right time. Now, can that carry over? We'll see. And they have a big game against the Rays this Sunday, which we'll talk about a bit later on here. Brocation, how polarizing are they?
I'd say not polarizing, but bipolar.
That's a great way to put it.
There are weeks where they look great and just everything connects and they look absolutely amazing, and there are weeks where they look like they would not beat a Division C team. And there are weeks where it looks like, look, you just shut down Sean Brophy and you'll win the game, but then there's other weeks they spread it around and they look like an effective offense. Honestly, I want to see Brocation at their best every week, but we haven't seen that consistency out of them all season.
GM?
There's not a lot more I can add to that. Pease hit the nail on the head. We see glimpses of greatness from Phil Cutler. There's times where he squanders it away and plays absolutely poorly. Consistency is the key word.
I've dated someone else bipolar, so believe me, I know what I'm talking about.
One word, yes or no. Wolverines, they're right now 3-5 in third place. Do they have a chance at first place? Yes or no?
No.
They have a chance.
So yes.
Mathematically, yes.
Yes
One
or
word
no?
answer. No.
Math.
No, he asked. Okay.
One word.
Math.
Not your strong points.
What's the math?
Yes, Eagle.
Statistics. I don't know.
Experiment correlation, yes.
One word. So
Instant replay. Something that's been brought up since the incident on Sunday night, which Eagle, funny enough, Eagle was just filming this for the reaction of R&D to see what they would do if they lost that game. This by sheer coincidence that happened, and look what we have here. Glaz R&D gives us a prime example. Do we need instant replay for the finals on touchdown situations?
I'll say in the finals it'd be interesting. However, we need to do it in a way that it won't slow down the game, and that it won't. It'll have to interrupt the continuous clock because the game is short enough to begin with. And I would say only for finals, if that. Because honestly, how many games does it truly decide?
Well, there's been incidents. I believe Robbie Robinson's team against the
You're thinking of old school
Incredibles.
against
No, old school, yeah, against Expos, I believe it was. The whole touchdown, was it a TD or not? And then there was, a few years ago, Robbie Robinson's team against the Incredibles. Was he out of bounds when he caught it, which was counted as a touchdown, which resulted in a loss to the Incredibles?
Okay, so can we
and
say...
ONS, because when you say Robbie Robinson's team, most people think it's VPC. It's actually ONS. It was a spring season.
let's also not forget about the Gladiators, Terror Squad, contact on Frank LeBeau. He couldn't tackle Pat Jerome for the extra point for the win. That was contestable.
Yeah, but
too.
you can't. That's a judgment call. You would not be able to resolve that with instant replay. So my question is, how many games would instant replay change the result for?
Well, the idea which I brought up to all you guys is that you would have one challenge for the final, essentially, on a touchdown call. If you get it wrong, you lose your timeout. If you have no timeouts, you can't challenge. And
That's
you
fair.
mentioned about times, right? But we all know in the FPF finals in general, there really isn't a time constraint. Games don't go from 5 to 6. They may go from 5:05 to 6:15 because of the overlap of celebrations and whatnot. So what is
the
the
breakdown of equipment and so on.
Exactly, or what Eagle does, right? But what difference does it make if we spend an extra 3-4 minutes, guys, on, hey, let's get
I mean, look, again, for the finals, I would say, you know what, it's interesting. Why not? We have the technology to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would say that it may set a dangerous precedent, but there's no way we'd ever be able to implement it for regular season.
For those of you who watch it, listening and not
Good
watching,
radio.
I did
Johnny
the
Manziel.
Universal Johnny Manziel money.
So is it- are you
fiscally,
suggesting
it's
that you
just
rehab,
not.
or-
It's not possible with keeping the fees the way they are. I personally like how much we pay our fees and would not like them to increase. I don't see its appeal is there, but it's not worth the trade-off.
Okay, here's an idea that was brought up to me by referee. Should we include a third referee for the most important games of the regular season?
That's more expensive
No.
than
How do you
instant
decide
replay.
what the most important game of the regular season is?
Or you have, in a situation that we had on Sunday, the second referee position themselves in the back on the end zone and just go over to the side the ball is going to land and have a better eye view of that
Then
situation.
other things can happen. They can't see contact. They can't see
Whether someone was
anything happening
tackled on the 1 yard line or in the end
Change your
zone.
perspective. And honestly, especially in the higher divisions, the ball flies so quickly. And let's put it this way: not all referees hustle as it is. So we can't guarantee they'll be in position to make the play.
But let's also remember the referees do have a guidelines on where they're supposed to position themselves
Yeah.
in a 2-man or 3-man system,
But
and that's
that's what
basically
Mo's addressing, though, is that should the mechanic change? And honestly, I don't know if I don't think that's a solution because I think it'll cause more problems than it resolves.
I think the referees have a better idea on how to position themselves than we do. Yeah.
exactly.
Great topic debate here about referees and whatnot here. Don't forget, follow us on FPF on the Twitter lines, Eagle FPF, PZFPF, GM Cole 44, Mocha 19 here at the Sportiera Cage. Don't forget, the season is now almost done for FPF, but don't forget you can get your winter uniforms by ordering them now at the Sportiera Cage or Sportiera. Go there on the website.
For those of you who play in other leagues.
Yeah, exactly. It can be
Like there's
soccer,
other
it can be
leagues.
hockey, whichever league you want.
Put in special promotion code MOCON to get no discounts.
You get no discount whatsoever. Speaking of discounts, the Division B playoff picture is slowly starting to unfold here. When we look at the overview of this DB race here, guys, do we know who our surefire number 1 seed is, realistically speaking here, PZ?
The number 1 seed.
Realistically, do we know who it is, or is it a melange of, hey, you guys, Darksiders,
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Monsters?
Darksiders.
And
Of
our
course
viewers
you see.
have the standings on the screen right now, by the way. And there's a link on the Facebook group, on the Flag Plus Facebook group, to
Yeah,
get
it's
to
an Excel
the sheets.
file.
It's an Excel file. You can access it to get the current standings at any point in time.
Fair enough. That's not Eagle. But right now, when we look at the overview of this whole 1 through 8, Is there a true legit favorite if there isn't going to be a favorite number one?
Well, look, I'm always going to pick my own team.
So will I.
I do it whether we've got 10 wins or 2. But the thing is that honestly, I think we see a clear division between the top tier teams division being the lower tier teams. So is there a clear cut? No. Can I cut the division in half and say these realistically are the favorites? Then sure. Then I would say yes.
GM?
The one thing that doesn't sit as well with me right now is that Darksiders have a tie under their belt, which may ultimately hurt them if, for example, 6+R win out. So just with that in mind, that inconsistency, I have to go with the fact that 6+R will finish on top.
I look at it this way. We know the first 2 spots are division winners. We know that. 3 and 4 we all know will be either 6+R, Darkstars, or Monstars. If you're a 5 seed or 6 seed, that's the worst.
That's a nightmare.
Matchup.
That's a nightmare situation.
It's an awful matchup to have in the first round. But then again, if you're a 7 seed playing the 2 seed, which could very well be Occasion or Bearskins, I want that matchup if I'm in the first round. I want to play that 2 seed because I know I can probably have a fighter's chance to win that game in the opening battle.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, that's one thing that I found interesting is essentially the conferences don't matter except for one position in the rankings. I think, honestly, I don't understand why really there's 2 conferences in Division B.
I think it was this misnomer of the idea of, hey, we'll have the actual divisions.
And
but
for that matter, like since there's 10 teams, and everyone's got an extra game basically to play a team they've already played before, why not have a crossover game this season? That could have been interesting.
Could have been.
I think it was planned that there would be a Div A, Div B crossover games rather than not. However, just logistically, it became a nightmare with the strength and such few Div A teams.
Okay.
All right, Wolverines, Raiders, lightweights, commission. They are literally hanging by.
Just at first glance, the most surprising thing about this entire playoff was that the commission were not mathematically eliminated.
They are one loss away from being eliminated this Sunday if they don't win. Essentially, they have to win out and have help along the way for them to get into the playoffs here.
When you say one loss away from elimination, it reminds me of Gordon Bombay's speech to the Mighty Ducks in D2 right after they lose to Iceland the first time.
There's no Gordon Bombay coaching the commission. Let's call it for what it is. Okay, we're looking at it right now. Wolverines, Raiders, lightweight. Out of 2 out of 3, who are you picking from that group?
2 out of 3?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say Wolverines and lightweight, just because it's tough though, because Raiders have a couple of spots where it might be a trap matchup where they can pull ahead with a win. I'm going to say Wolverines and lightweight, just because lightweight currently have the tiebreak over Raiders.
Jim.
I'm tempted to agree. If we're going to sub out one for the other, it's going to be Raiders instead of Wolverines.
Really?
Not Wolverines, sorry, lightweight.
Okay.
Without a doubt, Wolverines are making it in. But it all depends, because we've seen glimpses of hope from Raiders. They had a great game earlier on in the season against the Wolverines, where the Wolverines just basically melted down and couldn't even convert fourth downs. I don't know if lightweight are there right now. They have a great core of players, but they have all the impressions of a team that was jumbled together that don't really have that chemistry.
And I told Simon, and I find he's learning a GM lesson, and I don't mean you, as a team building lesson.
It can be both.
It can be both. But the thing is, it's interesting because you've done this. I've done this. We've both learned that it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And Simon's kind of at that stage of team building, and I've tried to explain it to him, and he doesn't get it. And now he's seeing it happen to his teams.
We're starting
in Division B and Division C.
He's discovering gold. Like, look at the pickups into that core, though. Corey Kennedy, great player, fits really well into that system. Adding Marco Maciotro as well was huge for him. It paid dividends. So Simon is still learning at the same time.
Absolutely.
He understands incompletions as opposed to learning
and interceptions.
Let's go over the Raider-Wolverine game. The best game of the week in my books here. Last time these two teams played each other, the Raiders won 27-19. Who can ill afford to have a bad game as a quarterback? Tony Tibet or Leon Holder?
I say Tony Tibet. Honestly, the Raiders D has moments where they're very aggressive, so if things break their way, they can make a few big plays. I feel that the Wolverines, when Tony Tibet doesn't play well, as we saw in spring finals last year, when he doesn't play well, they completely fall apart. They're like sneakers without shoelaces.
So we're wearing Velcro then.
I wish. Velcro's awesome.
That being said, though, you can't count on the Raiders because it's a different team week after week after week. You don't know who's going to be playing. Like, you know the core is going to be there, so you know Rob White's going to be there, Sean Kennedy's going to be there, Leon Hilder's going to be there. But aside from that, you don't know who Rob is going to have in to rush. You don't know who's playing defense. And there's times where these two teams have faced each other. Winter 2015, these two teams faced off, and Rob White essentially had a cast of Div 5 and Div 4 players playing in Div 2, and Tony Tibet picked them apart. So if they can't field a full roster, it's almost a write-off for the Wolverines.
All right, Sean Kennedy, Eric Kavaljian, who will be the more dangerous receiver on Sunday, GM?
Sean Kennedy, 100%. He's Leon's safety outlet whenever he needs to make a play happen. And no disrespect to Eric Kavaljian, great player, solid player, does well in that sort of in that dynamic. But Sean Kennedy is a freak athlete. He's like a freight train that runs at you, just parting the sea. Body, great hand.
I'm going to say Eric Kavaljian. I disagree. Just because of exactly what I said with Tibet and to the outlet, he's the guy making the sort of 7 and 9 yard catch. He's up.
I would argue that would be Shane Paquette on that team.
Everyone on that team basically catches 7 yard average. But the thing is that like that's fine, Shane Paquette, yes, but we're seeing Paquette have less and less volume of catches, and Kavaljian's volume is starting to increase in recent seasons. So in that way, I actually, when I first started reading the question, I thought it was going to be Sean Kennedy or Shane Paquette, but I actually have to give you credit, Mo. Eric Kavaljian has become that receiver for Tony Tibet.
Go-to guy. Whoever loses this game, can we kiss the playoff hopes goodbye, yes or no? Wolverines, if they lose. Raiders, if they lose this game, are they done?
Wolverines, no. Raiders, yes-ish. Because Wolverines...
I don't know about that. On paper, I don't think it's so black and white, because if the Wolverines lose this one, they have no head-to-head on the Raiders.
No, they lose that.
Exactly. They have no head-to-head, and that's the big
But
issue.
that's the one... Then they have the head-to-head with lightweight, though. And lightweight is still involved in that equation.
And lightweight's one game behind Wolverines, as we speak, overall.
Overall, and they have the tie break. So
It's an odd sort of
honestly,
love triangle.
yeah, it's a disaster love triangle. Like, it's Betty and Veronica, and they all hate Archie in this scenario. And Archie might be gay in this one. So
Maybe he can get married.
he can now.
Potentially. As the cage is rattling right now, excited Raider fans behind us, actually. It's now time for the Ask Marty segment.
All right.
Where Marty will be asking questions to GM and I guess. So we'll give you a quick answer here, Marty.
I'm not Marty, unfortunately, but because Marty wouldn't be asking himself, because then we have questions about Marty. But we have two full mailbags, Mo.
Yes.
And I want to know, which mailbag should I pull from? Should I pull from Conference B, Division B Conference A, or Division B Conference B?
We'll go with which one, Jim?
I'm going to go with B because it's the more fun one.
Yes. We'll go with
And
B.
leave Matt with the other conference.
Yes, the other unknown conference.
All right. Well, the first letter actually comes from Predators, and it says it's actually signed the rest of the Predators, and it says, "Dear Marty," who's not here this week with Villarreal and such, according to Mokan.
The Alberta Rockies.
Absolutely. It says, "Dear Marty, we don't have a quarterback. We've struggled season in, season out. Every time we get close, we choke. Can James Floriani realistically lead us to a championship?"
No.
All right,
Absolutely
Marty.
not.
Why not?
I look at that team very inconsistent at times. They look dominant against the inferior competition of Division B. When they play the tougher teams, they don't show up. It seems like they just lose their focus and they just don't play as well, as opposed to dominating the smaller kittens of the whole SPCA pool, so to speak here. So no.
So it was the rest of the Predators who wrote in?
Absolutely.
No rest of the Predators. James Floriani cannot lead you into that promised land because, to piggyback on Mo's comment, you are the problem. You don't show up when it's time to show up. You lack that drive. You lack that intensity. You're as much to blame in this scenario.
All right. The next one actually comes in from 6+R. And I think it's Ryan Phillips himself writing it. It looks like his handwriting.
Well, he always writes this roster for the team, so yes.
Exactly. And he's got like a calligraphy sort of hand.
Is every third word bud or buddy or thanks man or?
Yeah, he's
That's a
nice
South Shore
That's
thing,
Ross
though.
Castleton.
South Shore thing.
Yeah, but it's less angry than Ross would think.
Buddy.
So
Buddy.
the thing is, in this letter, it says, "Dear Marty, we got lucky and we won a lot of our games by 1 point. I'm starting to worry that our team might not be as strong as I thought we were entering the season. Please tell me I'm wrong." Winking face, emoticon. It was an electronic letter, so
Emojis.
everything I
We
said.
use emojis. I will
calligraphy.
say this, Ryan Phillips, if that was you that wrote into us in our Dear Marty segment. The end of the day, this team is very talented. Justin Blanchard makes your team a lot better, more lethal on offense than even on defense. The question that will be come playoff time, as it was last winter, when the going gets tough, are you guys going to be able to push back and make your way through, unlike you did in your playoff loss to Ryan Reedy's team? I want to see how much toughness they have mentally speaking here. So, yes, you guys are talented, but no, let's see what you can do on the football field come late July into August.
And Eagle is pointing something at you.
It says Jay Blanche is an All-Star MVP.
Yes.
Just
Finals MVP Justin Blanchard.
Your thoughts?
That was a PS from Ryan Phillips.
So the question from 6+R, more specifically Ryan Phillips, was, tell me I'm wrong that my team's not as strong as I thought it would be. You're not wrong, but that's not a problem.
Okay.
This division, especially Conference B, has a lot of depth, and the fact that you're winning these close matchups is testament to the team's ability to adjust, and not only that, but Fred Vien's ability to convert on the convert. He can make those 1 point and 2 points count, and that's huge come playoff time. A lot of games are decided by less than a touchdown, and you're already battle ready. So you're not as strong as you thought you were, but that's not a problem.
We got another one in here from the Raiders. They addressed it to Nicholas Pickles, so it might have gone to the wrong mailbag.
Video and Arcade Top 10!
But they do ask, they start by making a statement. Dear Nicholas Pickles, Commissioner Rob Campana hates us and put us in this brutal division. How different would our season have been had we been in Conference A?
Stop complaining, and we'll see you in the playoffs.
All right.
Herm Edwards, you play the game. You got to play the game.
That's fair.
Play the game to win.
I'm glad you got an email from Herm Edwards that answered the email to Nicholas Pickles. Reaching down into the mailbag, we get one from Monstars. And the Monstars letter says...
How many people write to the show?
It's popular show, man.
Amazing.
It's popular show.
It's amazing. So the Monstars letter says, Dear Marty, we are a team that at times lack identity. Please help us define what our true identity is heading into the playoffs.
Well, for starters, you guys stop believing that, hey, you would have beaten a fully loaded Darkside team. You guys would have lost, first and foremost. Secondly, who have you beaten so far? Finally, your team in the playoffs. Are you ready to step up to the plate and hit a home run, or are you going to go for that little bloop single like you've done so far this season?
Most got his
tonight,
sass on tonight.
Wow.
I
I'm
like
trying to do my
it.
Marty impression, that's why.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
And
you have
also,
any thoughts?
we're delayed as well. That's why I'm a little bit annoyed.
There's times where you see magic from the Monstars, and there's times where you don't. So I'm just piggybacking on Mo because I can't compare to what Mo just said.
Picks of the
Right.
week, please. Let's go.
No,
Yeah.
we got one last one.
One last one. I'm a little
One
bit
last one.
annoyed here.
I didn't know. I didn't know this was coming in. This wasn't me who wrote this. This is one of my teammates, obviously from Darksiders, who said, "We like being the underdogs. Mo Khan, why is it that you've forsaken us with your curse?"
Last spring, I picked the Legends to win Division B when Don Shepard mocked me, laughed at me, pointed fingers at me. This year's the Darksiders, my friends.
Fair. That's fair.
That was it.
All right.
Okay.
I lost the script momentarily, so let's stall.
We will not stall.
Yeah,
How do you feel though about having such high faith by your peers around you? This has never been the case for a Pease-led team.
Well,
Then again, it's a Morissette
the 10-0
team.
checkmate, the Morissette checkmate. It's happened. We've had some good teams before. This is probably the strongest roster. Honestly, it's weird because there's a lot of pressure, but at the same time, this is the most stress-free team I've ever been on. No one's ever upset. No one ever gets rattled by a mistake. No one ever is really worried. There's a turnover on downs. We don't really care. Fred shows up, doesn't even know who we're playing against.
And
Eagles
picks of the
cradling
week. Picks of the week.
Picks of the week. Sorry about that. Jim asked me a question. So,
That's because you couldn't find the script.
yeah, we found it now. Roosters and Donkeys take on Rainmakers. It is an 8.5 point favor. Roosters and Donkeys are the 8.5 point favorite coming to this one. GM, what is your pick?
The Roosters and the Donkeys are going to cover that spread.
Yep. They will cover and win.
Sorry.
All right, fair. 6+R take on Monstars, and I think that the wise guys in Vegas have something on this game that we don't know about because they have 6+R favored to beat the Monstars by 9.5 points.
I'll still take that.
You take the action? You think smart money's on that spread?
I think so too. The biggest issue and the cause for meltdown with 6+R was the relentless rush of Ryan Aridi the last time they faced each other. Fred Bien was far below his usual 70% completion percentage or whatever it is, ridiculously high. I think he was even in the 80s in Div 4. But without someone disrupting him as much as Ryan does, he's going to be able to find those open receivers much more frequently, and I would take that spread.
Taking the spread because Rod Master may have a lower body injury. We don't know. We'll figure it out.
They make a blue pill for that.
Give me the 6+R plus points.
All right. Wolverines take on the Raiders, and obviously with the way they've been playing, Wolverines are favored to win this game. They're favored by less than a touchdown, 5.5 points. GM, what's your pick?
The one that went through my head was Wolverines by 2.
Okay,
The Raiders.
you're taking the points.
So I'm taking points here. The spread will not be covered here, but I still take Wolverines to win it.
Likewise, I agree.
Cool.
All right, let's go around the room. What did you learn on today's episode?
I learned that I can show up just on time for my podcast and be 2 hours early.
Eagle?
I learned that we should never compromise.
Puzzles?
I learned that there's some deep anger within Mo Khan.
Oh, I love
was
it.
happy to see it. Mo
See,
Khan was a real
You
person.
only see glimpses of it, like when you're talking personally to Mo about like specific players or how you should proceed or people who whine.
I learned that we name dropped Ross Castleton in the Shockers twice in this broadcast. Good morning, South Korea.
Under my tutelage, you will grow from boys into men, from men into gladiators, and from gladiators into Swansons. Behold, the Swanson Pyramid of Greatness.
Super Flag Bros.
Super.
Division 6 Podcast.
It's a perfectly calibrated recipe for maximum personal achievement. Categories include capitalism, God's way of determining who is smart and who is poor.
These Delaries.
Crying, acceptable at funerals and the Grand Canyon. Rage, poise, property rights, fish, for sport only, not for meat. Fish meat is practically a vegetable.
And Peas Delaries.
Haircuts. There are 3 acceptable haircuts. High and tight, crew cut, buzz cut. Are the scissors broken in your house, son?
Welcome everyone, and you are listening to and perhaps watching Super Flag Bros on www.youtube.com/Flag Plus and or the various podcast networks where you can download this, hopefully iTunes this week, Eagle Eye Master Control. And if you're watching, there's the car, there it is. We have a soundboard finally. It only took like 30 weeks. Anyway, welcome everyone. As you know, we are broadcasting live from the Sportira cage where, if it's in the game, it's in the cage.
Not in the cage.
Yeah, not in the cage.
Totally in the cage.
Yeah?
Time right now.
We're outside the cage, though.
We're outside the cage. We're like a mini cage.
I'm pretty proud of you guys. We just before we were shooting a couple hoops, and none of us are full of sweat. So I'm pretty impressed. Looks like we're starting to get a little bit more athletic.
I'm happy. I'm wearing linen, so
Linen.
no problem.
And you're not sweating at all.
But I will say again, so we're at Sportira. Remember, guys, they're the official sponsors for FPF jerseys. So if you don't have a jersey yet for this season, I'm looking at you. The teams that I'm talking to, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
You know exactly who? There's actually teams that don't have jerseys now.
Yeah, they're pretty. There's some teams with hideous jerseys, like Jean-Guy. Guys, get a goddamn jersey.
You know they don't
please.
listen to the podcast at
I
all,
know
right?
they should though,
They
because
should. They
we're
really
clever
should.
guys. And I think we're pretty.
Maybe it's because we don't give them enough press.
Speaking of guys, well, they're on the script today, so hopefully they're listening. But speaking of clever guys, I have one sitting to my left, and it's Mo Khan. He is our producer. He is the guy who gets us all the information that we need on a weekly basis. If you want to tweet the show live or tweet him in general, you can tweet him at MoKhan19. Our technical director, who is plugging stuff in for some reason, he is the Eagle Eye Master Control. He can be followed at Eagle FPF. And to my right, wearing an alternate Darksiders jersey, is of course Deez Delaries, my co-host. And I did get
And your teammate.
I did get an angry look from someone from beyond the booth. So the ladies of FPF are representing as well.
Awesome.
Remember, hashtag ladies of FPF. Anyway, so I want to talk about something real quick, right to top the show off.
You sure you're not done with your intros that take forever?
No, it's what I do. It's my thing.
Yeah, no,
people love my
You're
intros.
good at it. You're good at it.
But I wanted to bring a topic to start the show, and it relates to our Darksiders game in Division B. So I know it's not something that happened in Division E, but it's a rule that's
very relevant.
specific to FPF. And as such, it's something that players should know, and especially in Division E, where guys may not be as familiar with the rules. So, just to give the scenario, to give the case, on a convert, there was an interception. Then our team was intercepted on a convert. One of our players held the guy who's running the ball back.
Just barely, but yes.
Yes, I honestly don't think it was much of a hold, but that's a judgment call that you can't complain about that.
Right.
Then, at that point, what happened was the ruling on the field was that the team that intercepted the convert got a chance for a 1-point convert themselves, because a player returning a convert can score a point, and by holding him, you're taking away the opportunity for that player to score points. So what I've seen in the past is that often it's enforced after the change of possession, but it is actually enforced on the convert, so the intercepting team gets a chance to convert for a point as well.
And this is only if it's not the last man back.
Yeah, if it's last man back, it's an automatic point.
Exactly.
Clear path.
Yeah.
I'm very, very confused.
Yeah,
were there.
you see his eyes. His eyes were bulging. Like, what the hell is he talking about?
He has a very short attention span.
You speak, talk any rules. I love this league. You guys know I bleed green and black and white or whatever colors we have. But but sometimes rules, sometimes I don't get them, and in this case, this is probably one of my. I probably will never understand.
Okay, so
But where-
you're
where was
defending an
this-
extra
Yes,
point.
yes.
You pick off the ball.
Yes.
You start running
yes,
it back.
yes.
Now you have two things. If
Yes.
the quarterback is the last guy and he holds you, you
Right.
get the point
Well,
automatically.
not just the
They give it
quarterback,
to you.
anybody who's the last
the
guy.
last guy who's in the back
But
of the
I'm
field.
trying to understand why we have this rule, not what it is. Like why?
Because if you're last man back, we're giving you the points. We're saying you purposely committed a penalty to prevent him
But
from
I'm saying,
scoring.
okay, I get that. But why is that even happening in the first place? Like why are like okay? So you're saying that guy automatically gets a touchdown without being held?
If it's the last man back, then yes.
Okay, I'm just not gonna. I'm never gonna.
Let's move on to the next topic here.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on, because you're supposed to be the authority here.
Really,
so,
me?
Yeah, sure. Anyway, Jean-Guy beat Royalty in a game where they outscored them 31-18. Jean-Guy keeps Royalty at bay. Royalty now have 3 straight losses and have now fallen to 9th place. Are you surprised to see Daniel Lazara with just 2 catches in this game?
Yeah, it's kind of strange in a way. Like it really wasn't what we predicted. We spoke about this game last week. Like we both were pretty sure that this would be a game that Royalty could win, that they can pull off, and maybe it's exactly that. Like that their offense was rolling in what's been working, like especially throughout the season. You know, throwing Daniel Lazara specifically, like he's the playmaker on the team. So, but what is that? Is that more of a situation where he's well defended? Like my thing about Jean-Guy has always been that they've always had a good defense, a decent defense. For them, it's mostly been on their. Yeah, I know, but they've never been the best defense. But there's some nights where they come out and you can't really score.
Yeah.
They can tighten the clench if they.
But that being said, they have a very unorthodox offense.
right.
So do you think, given that this offense has not always been effective in the past, do you think it can work in the playoffs this season?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough because there's so many really good offenses that are working at this point of the season. So in a way, like it's hard to stumble into the playoffs. Anytime you stumble into the playoffs, your offense is not really like working the way it should. Like, I feel like that's always problematic, especially going up against a team that might. But I'm just curious to see like what their matchup could be if they were to end the season now, right?
Well, we'll take a look at the playoff
after, yeah.
standings moving forward. Jean-Guy does not have a receiver with more than 4 touchdowns. Is this depth, or is it because they don't actually have an explosive receiver?
Also, I just want to point something out. Like,
Or you can answer the question.
What was your question?
Yes or no? I'm not repeating
I'll go maybe. Just
All right, Mokan, do you have an answer to that question?
I do. When you look at Pascal Savaria, who has 31 catches this year, you can essentially tally up the rest of the receiving corps, which is about 10 deep. They would equal his amount in terms of catches for the season here. But remember, though,
In terms of scoring output, though, because he might be getting a lot of the looks, but maybe they don't have the guy who can break a game open.
What's been the biggest downfall for Jean-Guy since their inception last winter, 2014, has been quarterback play. Christophe Chartrand was the quarterback. We call him Jean-Guy football. He was very unpredictable in how he was. They
Like
went to
a
the playoffs
playbook.
with them last winter.
Like a playbook.
Exactly. They don't have a playbook. They don't really run routes. They go, okay, let's run around in circles, and
But
if
weren't
you're
they more
open...
effective though when they had him? Like I feel like they're not as effective.
They're about the same. Their team generally hovers about 500.
But their defense is their staple, though.
Yeah,
When you look at who they have in the defense.
Well, they have amazing athletes, and it pays off. Hashtag Baton making better use of their athletes. They win this one 31-18 over the Blood Machines. Is this the upset of the season in Division E?
Is this the upset of the season? I wouldn't say the season specifically because of the recent
Like not like the
additions.
fashion season of the FPF season.
Of the FAF season, yeah, I got that.
Got it, just making
yeah,
sure.
I did. Now I'm paying
I know
attention.
your
Now I'm paying
fashionista
attention.
sensibilities, so
I just want to point something out. I've gone paperless this week, so
I know that. I don't
it's
know how
really
to look
hard.
at you.
It's really hard.
I don't even know who
Relieved
you
of
are
your
right now.
duties.
I'm trying to be more environmental. But anyway, so what I was saying is I think there's 2 points to be made about this game. I feel like this loss, in some ways, kind of benefits Blood Machines. I feel like they have if the season were to end today, they'd have a much more favorable matchup. We could talk about that later, but I think at the same time, like I'm not going to put too much stock into this loss towards Blood Machines. But there's a lot to say about Baton. I think that they finally found like they finally found an offense, which
Well,
is great.
they found a
because
quarterback. 'Cause
They found a
since
quarterback.
Jesse
yeah.
Dupuis has taken over at quarterback, they haven't lost the game.
But you know how this works. It's not just about finding a quarterback. It's about finding a guy that fits what works,
of
right?
course.
So yeah.
But not only that, though, when you look at the fact Blood Machines lost this game, they were 6-1 going into this matchup period. They have FOTC coming up, and they have Smash Bros. The next 2 games. Had they won that game, which was a trap game now, as we saw the results, they could have easily been controlling their destiny for being a 1 seed as opposed to where you think they'll end up as maybe a 3 or 4 spot.
I kind of feel like the higher that the Blood Machines end, it's going to be a much harder matchup because I feel like right now, Baton, where they are right now in the playoffs, it can be a sleeper because of the fact that they're bringing in a quarterback. So, like, if the season were to end today, I'm pretty sure that there would be a chance that they do play against each other.
Yeah.
Baton and they do play against each other again in the playoffs. I don't think that's a favorable matchup. I kind of see Baton being a sleeper team that could possibly make it to the finals.
Blood
Having,
Machines
like,
quarterback
finally found a guy.
Nicolas Blais, or you like to call him Nicholas Blaze, struggled this game. Why do you think that was?
It could be a combination of things. I think that an addition of a very good quarterback on the other side of the team. That one of the things that helps you is that the pace of the game is improved. So in their perspective, like maybe it's a fact that they didn't. Maybe it's a matter of just not having enough time with the ball. Maybe things weren't flowing. But like I was saying, I don't want to put too much stock into this loss for them because at the same time, it's not like he does this very often. He's a pretty solid quarterback.
Yeah.
Nicolas Blaze.
Nicholas Blaze.
Nicholas Blaze.
Smoke and Axolts are the Axolts themselves, I would imagine. I've never seen one, but I would imagine they're the fattest reptile. They took on Too Fat, Too Furious, or the Fat and the Furious, rather. They won 39-16. While the Fat and the Furious have not been good this season,
No, not at all.
and we may have anticipated the blowout, Smoke and Axe have now won their 5th game in a row after struggling out the gate. To what can you attribute the recent success?
That's a very long question.
Yeah, I got lost. I don't remember what I asked.
Recent success. I think that just in general, the thing I've always thought about Smoking Axes is that they have like guys on their team that have a lot of experience, and in that sense, like I feel that's always kind of helped them in matchups like this. I just always feel like in FPF and especially in lower division, Division E, like if you're an inexperienced team and you're going up against guys that have like I don't know, like you know, like in soccer, there's caps, like there's an amount of games that you have, like you have 30 caps, meaning you've played 30 games.
Sure.
Like, but I feel like if you come up against a team that has a lot of experience, that has like guys that have been playing for 7 or 8 years, they kind of know a little bit more about the league itself. So if you don't, I feel like that experience helps a team that like Smoking Axes and a guy like Jason Rossi at quarterback.
Quickly here, 3 of the 5 wins they've had, their defense has played well. They've allowed 13 points or less, once shutting out Baton earlier in their win streak. So their defense has played very well the last
That's
2
true.
weeks.
And we have seen now that they feature Scott Binns, Jason Kokolakis, and Jordan Rossi.
I've always been a big fan
lot
of Kokolakis. He's very very good
in
at
love
it.
with the
tattoo
Koko.
is sick.
So that being said, are Smoking Axles a team to watch out for in the playoffs?
I think at this point, yes. I feel like they're trending in a good way. Like their offense is flowing and everything. I feel also that matchup wise, the thing I feel about Conference A at this point is like there's a lot of really good teams and whatnot. But I kind of like them. I kind of like experienced teams going into the playoffs. And this is where we're at. We only have 2 weeks left. So if they can continue with this performance, I could see them going pretty far into the playoffs. Given that they'll have favorable matchups.
That's fair. That's fair. Right before we go to break, find something positive to say about the Fat and Furious.
That you have a quarterback named Shaq.
All right, that's done. We're going to hit the break. When we come back, we'll break down some of the playoff scenarios that are facing us at the moment and what we expect to happen in the coming weeks.
Guys, I have basketball fever. It's the first time I shot.
Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for CEGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information or visit www.distanted.ca for more details.
Welcome back, everyone. You are once again listening to and perhaps watching Super Flag Bros on the Flag Plus Football Podcast Network. I am Piz Del Rees. To my right, there is Deez Del Rees.
Yeah.
Where can you be tweeted at?
At Dave's Republic.
At Dave's Republic
I think so.
and at?
And at She wears neon tights.
All right. Speaking of wearing neon tights, the Eagle at Master Control is our technical director. And where can they find you, Eagle? Tell the good people where they can find you. That's apparently
At Eagle FPF.
There we go. He has a voice now.
He also has the most boring Twitter.
And of course, to my left is producer and the guy who brings in the reins from time to time, Mo Khan himself. I'm stalling because
I like most Twitter though. It's a lot more current. Like I can expect to get a couple of tweets about the Raptors or something involving a CFL athlete that I have no idea who he is. So then I'll see a tweet like, hey, this is a guy I have no idea who he is. I'll look up his stats. So there you go. Mo Khan educating the world about CFL.
Did you know Mo Khan wears the number 2, but his Twitter is at MoKhan19?
Explain the story.
I don't know.
While Peace finds himself.
I have the playoff standings ready to go.
I found the playoff standings. Mo Khan, why don't you read out the Conference A and Conference B in that order?
We'll go with.
But is it on the screen? Because I don't think we actually have to.
For those in CA who have clinched, Falcons are in the 1 spot with 13 points. No Name in the 2 spot with 12 points. We have a cluster of teams tied with 10 points each. In the 3, Redmond. Number 4, Smoking Axelites. And number 5, TDs and Beers. Now afterwards, we have 5 teams for 3 playoff spots. In the 6th spot, One Man Show at 8 points. Looney Goons at 7 points. Tigers at 6. On the outside looking in at the 9th spot, Fuzzy Kittens at 4 points. And the Fat and Fierce at 2 points.
And Conference B?
Conference B.
Wait. We should probably analyze Conference A while people are actually.
All right, that's fair.
Look,
let's do that.
Because then it doesn't make sense if we go Conference A, Conference B. So Conference A, what I feel with Conference A is like I kind of see like a meat grinder. There's a lot of really good teams, and it's just that. Yeah. Whereas Conference B, we'll talk about that in a second, but I feel like a lot of these teams, it's more evenly spread, the talent is what I'm trying to get at.
There's also like a cluster muck in the middle.
Yeah. It's true. No, it's true.
And there's a lot of teams in there that can move up. We see Redmond have had very, very good moments this season. Smoking Axles as a team on the rise as well, who could have been competing with Falcons and No Name. They are actually currently, but they could have been right up with them at this point had they not started so slowly.
I kind of feel that the team to really be, I'd be scared of if I'm going into the playoffs, looking at these teams. If I was going into the playoffs, and I've been talking a lot about them throughout the season, but I feel like with No Name, like I just feel like they have a really good defense, and that's not the team I want to go in playing against in the playoffs. I don't know. Maybe you guys can explain like you can tell me what you feel about this, but I feel like the first round of playoffs, I think I'd rather play against a team that I'd rather not play against a team that has an excellent defense as opposed to a team that has an excellent offense. Does that make sense as a question, or?
It depends on what the matchup is. For example, if One Man Show drops down and the matchup would be between No Name and One Man Show, that's a game that's very unpredictable as both teams have a strong defense, have a lot of experience. So it'd be interesting to see how that game will work out. It really depends. It depends on what the team is like.
It's true.
And No Name have also struggled to score points in some games where we're seeing them score 3 or 4 touchdowns. Yes, they're blowing teams up, but it's strictly on the backs of their defense. Offenses tend to be sharper in the playoffs, so
I get that, but I feel like the offenses that are there in Conference A, I don't feel like they could challenge them.
Well, Falcons, Smoking Axles.
They look vulnerable, the Falcons. Watch them play against Smash Bros. In the middle of the season. They got destroyed. Yeah. So I don't know if they're really a true legit number 1 seed in the playoffs, though.
That being said, we have Smash Bros. Being the insurging team in Conference B. MK, give us the rankings of Conference B.
Okay, FOTC, they are in the 1 spot with 14 points. In the 2 spot, Los Gapos with 12 points. In the 3 spot, the Blood Machines with 12 points. In the 4 spot, Smash Bros with 12 points. In the 5 spot, been there, done that with 9 points. They've all clinched a playoff spot. There are 3 remaining spots with 5 teams still in play. In the 6th spot, Jean Guy with 6 points. Hashtag Baton, number 7 with 5 points. In the number 8 spot, Big Blue Wrecking Crew with 4 points. And the outside looking in, Royalty with 4 points. They're in the 9th spot. And Mile Public House has 0 points. However, they are still mathematically alive for a playoff spot in the 10 spots.
Just a quick note to Mile Public House. Deez and I played on a team in our first season. We're 0-9-1.
Yeah.
2 seasons later, we're 10-0.
Yeah.
So, keep with it. The turnaround is quick in FPF.
Oh, it really
now
is.
let's analyze the teams that actually matter this season. Flight of the Conchords leading the way. Does this surprise you, Deez?
No, it really doesn't, and I kind of feel like this is kind of what we were thinking at how things would kind of end up. Like these are a lot of teams going in. They were like, aside from the Smash Bros, I feel like the Smash Bros starting at the beginning of the season, we didn't really see them as that emerging team.
Well, because we didn't know how Jonah Cohen would do at quarterback.
Yeah.
And Jonah Cohen has lit the league on fire.
And I feel like it's like the top 3 teams, FOTC, Los Guapos, Blood Machines. We kind of saw that coming, right? But this is the thing, and we were talking about matchups before, and this is what I'm talking about with Blood Machines. I feel like I'm not saying that they should lose games here, but I'm saying that if they do lose games, I wouldn't be so worried. Like my point being that the top 5 teams, the top 4 teams are they're death matches.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're lower end teams in the Conference B, I feel like these guys are going to get blown out. Like I can't
Well, it
see
depends,
John
'cause
putting up a fight.
here's the thing
except for the hashtag Baton.
Well,
that
I
we
was
spoke
going to
about
ask a
before.
question now to both of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which team do you think can make the Cinderella run? Is it
Baton.
hashtag Baton
Hashtag
or
Baton.
been there, done that?
Hashtag Baton.
Hashtag
Has to be.
Baton. I mean, for them to
I'm
be the
gonna-
Blood Machines, a big one for their psyche.
I'm going to throw in been there, done that. They play a lot of games without all 3 of their big name receivers. I think if the whole roster's there in the playoffs, their 9 points doesn't tell the full story. I think this is a
It
very good
appears
team.
to be locked in as a 5 seed because they're 3 up on the next opponent and they're 3 behind
Yeah,
Smash
so
Bros.
honestly, like the game Smash Bros been there, done that. It'd be tough for them to win, but it's not a result that would completely surprise me if I saw been there, done that, win that game. Deez,
Yes.
it is time for your rant of the week.
Really?
This week, I want you to tell us all about Montreal's construction plans for the summer.
I had so much more to rant about. I feel like coming here, there's so much that enrages me. Like I did this conversation can go in 5 different directions.
Pick one.
Pick one. Construction. I'm just trying to understand what the purpose is of digging up all the sidewalks in the city. Can you explain it to me?
It's so that way we won't have sidewalks for the future generations.
But the
future generations will all have safe ankles because there's no danger of rolling them off the edge of the sidewalk.
Great. Yeah. No. That's the
idea.
Everyone knows exactly what we need in the city. Mo, I know you're looking at me. You're so confused.
No, I'm not. I'm
But you know-
actually
you know
in
what I'm
agreement with
talking
you.
about.
I'm in the
Yeah.
downtown core quite often. I know a lot of people who work for the Montreal Police Organization, and they laugh at the blue-collar workers because they don't actually do work.
Dude, I literally the other day, I was driving by. It's a corner of a sidewalk. There were 12 guys, and all they were doing was just taking out beams, right? And then down the street, there's 3 other construction sites, not a single soul. And like, I'm cool with them doing that, but I want to be able to park at night, and I can't. So that's my rant.
There's also another issue with our construction industry, and it rhymes with bro-ruption. Anyway, so it's time for the Thursday lesson
Wait,
plan.
can you explain what bro-ruption means, though? Yeah, can you do it safely on a podcast?
No, there's no way
Yeah,
that I
no.
can go with that. We will not
You
be
erupt.
explicit.
right, thanks.
What I will say for the Thursday lesson plan is, guys, always read the rules. Make sure that you're current on the rules because, listen, I was surprised this week. I'm on the rules committee. I played in the season in the league for, I think this is my 9th season for multiple teams. Honestly, it's never too late to brush up. It's never lost time. Make sure you do that. Make sure you know exactly what's
no
up.
one's going to listen to you. They're not going to read.
You should though, because we end up tying in a game because we had no idea that was the rule.
Honestly, every time I look at the rule book, I fall asleep like on the 5th line.
What would
But
happen?
it's my fault. I'm dumb. So
No, it's just honestly, you should be medicated for that specific disorder. MK, any final thoughts?
Yes, a reminder, Week 10, all games will be in Brossard, so that will be Sunday included. So this is the last Sunday game in the machine for the regular season.
Brossard or
Week
Brosard?
10, Brossard, Bro Flags, Super Flags, who knows? But Week 10, all games in Brossard, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
That's fair. Deez, have yourself a wonderful week.
I
Eagle,
will.
thanks for all the wonderful work that you always do. MK, thanks for being my eye candy. And
Always.
remember, bye.
thought of a great idea for next week's show. Find out next week. Good
Stay
night,
tuned.
Seattle.
It may or may not involve a box of milk carton,
Maybe.
It's water. It's boxed water.
but it will be involved next week in the podcast. So just stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I don't think I'm gonna like this idea.
No, but you'll love it though.
You'll love it in the end.
I mean, love it at the same time.
We can print out what we need, right, on that?
Yeah, I'll get it. Don't worry about
Absolutely.
it.
That's
And nice
all.
and color too.
That's big. That's big. Welcome to You'll Never Walk Alone. Terry Tam, Puzzles, Eagle. I see a little correlation here. You guys are wearing collars today. Eagle had a nice sparrow red a few weeks ago.
That was a sparrow.
It's a bird, Terry.
What's a
really?
sparrow red?
It's the red color that a sparrow is.
Sparrow's
apparently.
red?
I don't know. I'm not a bird guy.
But you know a sparrow's a bird.
Well,
though.
yeah, because I'm not retarded. I went to school.
I learned it.
Is there like a Greek bird you have, like a dodo or something?
Spadi-
I have no
Spadios.
idea, man. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you. There's for sure.
Spadios, man.
A what?
A Spadios.
It's so racist. It's not even funny.
Okay, Terry. By the way, you have a Tom Brady look going on right now.
Yeah, I'm good looking.
No, the hairstyle.
You're suspended?
You should be for his little stunt you pulled off.
Appealed. Okay. Appealed.
Again, I want to have the mirror that you have in your house.
Yeah.
I want to see
I
myself
also
while
have
you see you.
abs. I also didn't screw up my team's ratings this week,
Nice.
and I also am awesome at everything.
I never
Alright.
missed that snap in playoffs.
And I never missed that snap.
No, it's
Screw
really
you,
awesome.
Hogan.
Primetime Brotherhood. Brotherhood hammering Primetime like they were the Miami Sharks of the old movie from Oliver
Miami
Stone.
Sharks, eh?
Yeah, any given Sunday.
Nice.
49-13.
So Jamie Harry is your Willie Beeman?
Maybe. 7 TDs he had. Omar Jackson, 3 TDs.
One sick one-hander.
Absolutely, 2 INTs. Dave Daou, 2 TDs, 4 INTs. The question is Jamie Harry the character Willie Beeman from the movie Any Given Sunday?
Does that make Gianni Settino Cap Rooney?
Team. Unity. That's what
you want.
That's what you want.
Is Jamie Harry Willie Beeman? No, because he's not. I mean, he likes to talk on the field. I mean, it's all good, but he's not. He's not as brash and as cocky as Willie Beeman. I think he's a better football player than Willie Beeman is. Actually, I'm not going to just going to throw it out there. Jamie Harry's very impressive. He also has a plethora of receivers that he can use, and
Jamal
he's using them
Giddens,
very well.
Omar
Jamal
Jackson.
Giddens, Omar Jackson.
What kind of bird's a plethora?
I don't know. It's for sure has sparrow red on it somehow,
And like a horn.
like a horn,
Yeah.
and it
Red
is a
and horny.
unicorn. Plethora is unicorn.
It's a unicorn bird.
That can fly.
Absolutely. But in terms
It's a
of
unibird.
in terms of his style, though, I mean, it seems like he's picked up the league now. Whereas
Yeah.
in the first couple of weeks he looked awful, didn't know what was going on. But now he seems a lot more comfortable, adept at going out there and playing his style. of
Simo,
football.
normally it takes a quarterback maybe a year, maybe 2 seasons to get, like, well, I mean, it takes crap quarterbacks like myself and Pease a year, 2 years to maybe not throw an interception in a game. It takes Jimmy Harry 2 games, 2-3 games to figure this out. He's a tremendous athlete, tremendous.
All right, when you look at the Brotherhood, they are now winners of 3 of the last 4 games that they played in. Are they a sneaky good team that no one wants to play in the playoffs?
Yeah, man, they're tough. I mean, there's a reason why this team made the finals last year. I mean, they're tough to play against. They're a good group of guys, so they have some sort of chemistry. Jimmy Harry has just been lights out. He uses his feet. They're just firing at all cylinders right now, and I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a really sick run to the playoffs.
You know, when I look at this team and watch them play on Sunday against Primetime, I thought Primetime would have given them the business.
Yeah.
But they gave them the business. Exactly. I mean, Harry was confident. He was able to buy himself time in the pocket. The defense played well. They should have had 5 or 6 INTs.
He didn't let Devin Daou get in his head. And Devin
No,
Daou was
he
a
didn't.
tremendous rusher. He did not let him get into his head. Even though Devin was talking to him, talking smack all game, did not let it affect him at all. Even jawing back to him once in a while. I like that. I like the edginess of Jamie Harry.
So what has gone wrong for Primetime? I believe it's that infamous tweet that they sent me saying, hey, clean your glasses, watch the receivers play on Primetime. They lost to LBB. They got smoked by Brotherhood, pardon me.
I never thought I'd
They
say
struggled.
This. Yeah, they have struggled. I never thought I'd say this, but it's not the receivers at this point. I think Dave Daou needs to maybe revisit that playbook and look where he's throwing. Because what happened last game
was
that
he's actually throwing the football.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like the no-look passes.
Not the lowest pass. Like he threw a ball at one point to Devin, and as Devin's running his route, he's like, "Where the hell is this guy throwing it?" As he's running the route, I mean, Dave's just trying to do too much. I find trying to force the ball, and he should use Derek. Derek is a very good receiver. He's huge, right? So he can catch those low balls, and nobody else is going to get that ball away from him. So throw balls. Stop trying to spread Derek deep. He doesn't have the best cardio. He's great hands, and he's a good route runner. So
Puzzles, any thoughts?
Honestly, I think it's look, it's the easy thing to pin it on is Dave Daoust, but it's the whole team in general. There's something missing. Even at times when they've come out with the win, whether it was against was the game I was thinking of last week. When they played KGB Champs. They look okay. They look fine. They're missing that explosiveness that I expected them to have.
Game against Team Ethnic too. They didn't look that great. I mean, it's just
they've been struggling since that tweet.
Yeah. You think it's that tweet that really caused it?
Man. I think the
Emilio CCCRE?
Ciccere or Ciccere?
CCCRE.
Still CCCRE?
Yeah.
Find out what it means to me.
CCCRE. CECERE.
Yes,
I can't even say it.
The glasses may be dirty, but the standings are very clear.
Fair enough.
Burn.
You guys have to stop hanging out together. It's like disease to my ears.
LBB
I'm getting a plethora on my ears.
You gotta get rid of that.
LBB Damps 25-8, Damps went 40-25. Justin Julian Jr. had 6 TD passes to Chan Minton Dat. 4 TDs, 1 INT. Thank you very much for that. Little duet over there, boys. Kia Ranger, Jay Gradison, who was here for this one time, only 4 TDs.
It's the first time I was able to see him play.
He's got talent, man.
He's really good, man. Honestly, he's impressive. And you could tell that the offense drives around him. Julian was able to use his feet against, I'm going to say, a weaker LBB team. I mean, the only guy I recognize in that team is Minton Tat from this league. And just outclassed. I think Damps were just able to do whatever they wanted. Julian was trying to throw deep, touchdown. You try to throw it short, somebody would burn everybody and score a touchdown. Minton Tat would come in, throw a ball, and we'd get picked off. I mean, they were not able to do what they wanted to do.
All right, so the Damps right now, they're 5-3, atop of their division, or tied with Primetime now for the top of the division here. In the Terry Tam rankings, are they the Tamerific, or just Tamer?
Well, in your prep, it would be Tamerist, Tamerific, and Tamer, because you forgot the other M.
Whatever.
Because Mo can't spell. So I'm going to say Tamerific.
Oh, so they're terrific.
Tamerific, yeah, they're Tamerific.
Oh, it's timer time.
Tamer time. It's Tamer time.
Oh.
I'm more of a Vanilla Ice guy, I'm not going to lie.
That exists?
Yeah, man, New Kids on the Block. No.
Well, MC Hammer was at the Golden State Warriors celebration.
Yeah, it's good
parties.
stuff, Mo.
Yeah.
Next point.
But LBB, though, how disappointed are you as an observer of this sea, given, again, the FPF experience that you have had playing this league for now a few years?
A few years together, yeah.
And now, on the outside looking in.
But they are missing key players from each season.
Who have they been missing this year?
There's a dude named Reda. Was missing. Phil Anger is another guy that's been missing in the past couple of seasons. Daktando, thank you. He honestly, like, he played with us in Moose. He struggled his first season, but after that, he developed as a very good FPF player. Missing again on the roster, so it just seems like
I think Min shouldn't be the quarterback.
It's honestly, Min's such a ridiculously good athlete that you just say, look, at some point he'll figure it out, but he hasn't yet.
I think he's one of the better cover corners in this league.
Yeah, man. I saw him make a disgusting pick last week when he out-jumped a guy who was like, because everyone's 3 feet taller than Min, but he out-jumped a guy 3 feet taller than Min, and like back in the corner, got both feet in. It was beautiful. But he hasn't learned yet as a quarterback. And as a receiver, by the way, he's also awesome.
Yeah, very good. You want to start playing quarterback. I mean, you and I tried it. It's fine. Mo tried it as well. It's fun to play with your friends quarterback. Eagle tried it too? You tried it? Oh,
yeah, he did. He did try it a few times.
Yeah?
Yeah, he did.
Eagle tried to throw a ball?
I can't snap to you, too short.
No, I just play receiver, and I burnt Mokan on a post.
Oh, burn. And he pushes off burn.
Absolutely. Which player beyond Jalen Granson who will not be with the team moving forward?
I've been saying since the beginning of the year, Najee Haddock is probably their guy that they should go to.
I like Taekwon John, to be honest.
Yeah.
Taekwon John's a very versatile player.
He's very good. I like him a lot. Justin Julian Jr. Is a fantastic player. I think both ways he can play it. I think this Damps 25-8 team is now slowly gaining the recognition that it deserves, because at 5-3, no one knew who they were the first 4 weeks of the year.
Early next week. I'm going to come over.
I have a question.
Yes.
Both of you have to give me 1 point from the biography of Justin Julian Sr. Make up something about his life.
That was a superstar.
He was a fisherman. He was a fisherman who didn't like fish, so he just decided to kill all
rough life.
He decided to kill all of them and feed people, but he didn't like them.
MK,
But he
JJ
would
Sr.
use the money that he got from the fishing to buy meat.
That was a superstar.
And by buying
player.
meat, he would hence get protein for his family
without having to use the fish. that
And
he
that's
killed.
why his son is a good football player.
Quite the story you have there, Stephen King.
Pretty accurate, though.
Yeah, sure thing, Anne Rice.
He said he was a vampire.
I would say he's a superstar football player that was a vampire,
Nice.
living in Transylvania, and moved back to Lachine or wherever he lives, LaSalle.
We know
maybe.
that Julian is a very Transylvanian name, so it makes
It
sense.
is. It's actually Eastern European, like Terry Tam. Terry, you are half Greek, half Vietnamese, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Hence
Okay.
Tam.
Yeah.
What is that, Greek?
Yeah, exactly. Other news notes from Division C. Let's look at the loss of Terrence Dobson. How devastating is it for game changers to lose a guy like him? The
Man.
idea, the comparable I'll use is a guy who is so gifted, athletic speaking, who's had an awesome FPF
Yeah.
career, but unfortunately, injuries has derailed his career in terms of him reaching the pinnacle of what he should be. And I feel bad for him, a great
Who
guy.
do you think you are? Bill Belichick, lower body injury? Can't we just say what it is?
Well, it hasn't been confirmed.
Because
yet.
you heard his leg. Lower body injury sounds like there's a little blue pill that fixes
Tore
it.
his Achilles, man.
Well, Anton Sakis could not confirm it the other day, so I don't want to go out there and say
Okay, so we'll say.
lower body injury.
The guy destroyed his Achilles. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see about that. That's the rumors that I'm heard. So I'm not. Don't quote me on it.
But, you know,
how big is it for game
That's a
changers?
huge loss for them, though.
Huge, man, because they were relying on this guy to come midway through the year, play enough games to make the playoffs. He comes in, plays 3 games, I think 4 games, and now he's done. And they were relying on him, and they did decently without him. But
It's not the same team without him.
It's not the
It's
same
a team that is missing now Terrence Dobson and Justin Filto to injury. They're missing 2 of their biggest playmakers.
If you look at I was looking at on the main site for FPF, flagplusfootball.com, they have the championship photo from a couple years ago. I was like, wow, this guy's here, this guy's here, this guy's not here, that guy's not here. It's a shell of what they were only about a year and a half ago, and they won the 2014 winter season. So you're right. It definitely hurts to lose those type of guys. I think they might have an early exit than expected because, again, you lose Terrence Dobson, you lose one of the top 2 targets for Anton Sakis.
He was the top target.
Yeah.
When they went to the championship, he was their top guy on defense. Justin Filter was their top guy on offense. I mean, it's tough, man. It sucks for him too. He's a good guy.
Absolutely. Elvis Finest, which we'll get to very shortly here. Elvis Finest, they come from behind to beat Servette, in which they were down for pretty much the entire game. Could this win and loss be the difference for these 2 teams as we approach playoffs? Because the standings, Servette was almost on the cusp of being in the top 4. Now they're sort of in the middling part of the standings as we speak.
I mean, it's a simple thing. Is you got to win the rest of the way. I mean, if you're not going to be able to do it, Elvis Finest came back. I spoke to them on the way into the field, and they're not extremely happy with their season so far. And the fact that they could come up with against a tough team like Servette, I even told them in the parking lot, I think they're going to lose. I think that you guys would lose that game against Servette. But they came out with a win. Experienced team. Guys like Theo Bukelis are huge in games like this, where you're playing against tough teams. You got to match up well. You got to organize yourself on defense and give Rod Mash the ball in order to score, and that's what they did, and they did it fine. They come back from the deficit.
All right, one more question here, guys, before we go to break. KGP champs and Pats, 0-8, one team. Who will win the first game?
Well, seeing as how KGP forfeits every game, did they play with Phil Keller this week?
Oh, they did not play Phil Keller.
They didn't play Phil Keller this week.
No, sir.
So, who are the Pats playing? Who is KGP playing?
Well, for the Patriots right now, in terms of who they'll play,
Pat, you guys play against who? Who do they play against? You know?
at 0-8, they've been in some tough games here. They will play Team Ethnic and Cream Team.
0-10.
KGP faces Brotherhood and Les Bleus Blancs.
The only game they would win, obviously, against is LBB. I think they can come out with that game.
I think we're going to see 2-0 teams.
It might be. It's more likely to be 0-10 teams.
Yeah.
The KGP, they're not that they're not an experienced team. They can come out with a win.
They're missing quarterback play.
They are, man.
Like they've scored. They haven't scored. They haven't scored more than 13 points in any game this season. That is terrifying.
Brutal, bro.
That's horror awful.
Horror awful.
Those are Mocon numbers.
Don't forget, Sportira is your proud sponsor of FPF gear. Season has come to an end, but it doesn't mean...
Remember, if you have a name, it's in the cage.
Yes.
If you have a cage, don't put people inside of it.
That is true. But for those who are looking for uniforms for next winter season 2016, go through Sportira and order yourself some gorgeous uniforms. We've seen a few. Go on the site. The Wolfpack uniform is up there.
Yeah, best uniform in the planet.
So is Illuminati uniform.
And let's not forget, Sportira can do your hockey, soccer, and basketball jerseys if you're looking for something else beyond the FPF.
A few teams in
walls.
FPF use basketball jerseys like Top
That is
Sauce.
true.
And for a short time, if you use the promo code Greek Relief, you get no taxes paid.
Hashtag
which
Jesus
would
Christ.
definitely help out the
Why am I
EU
laughing?
as we move
That's
along.
brutal.
Don't forget, Terry Time FPF, PZ FPF, Eagle FPF, MoCon and team come up next. We'll talk about the DC playoff race, who's in, who's out. We rank each team's chances, and we'll talk more about what could happen in the big heavyweight fight, GNR STL. Stay tuned.
Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for SAGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information or visit www.distanted.ca for more details.
Get out of here, Rob. You're
And
fired.
we're back.
Are we back? Oh, yes, we're back. Welcome back.
And we're back.
We're back. It's now time to talk about the Div C playoff race. We'll talk about the teams, who's in, who's out. Puzzles, we'll go with Conference A. Let's list those teams and where they're at right now.
And for our viewers, they are currently on the screen, and you can also go ahead and check them using the link provided on the Flag Plus Football Facebook group.
So, oddly not on the Facebook page, however, but so we will start with Conference A because the letter A comes before B. And Conference A, the Patriots have already been eliminated. The four teams that have clinched are 2.5 Dans, 0.5 Terrys, Killer Instinct, The Punisher, and No Fly Zone. Then at 10 points we have Zoo. And then we have two teams at 8 points with Serve with Heat and Hitman Retro, followed by Laval's Finest. On the outside looking in, we have Longhorns, Cream Team, West Park Boys, and Top Citizen at 6 points, except for Top Citizen, who have 4.
What's the first tiebreaker?
It depends. If it's two teams, it is head-to-head record.
Of course.
It's wins.
Always wins.
Obviously, wins points. Then, sorry,
Points,
wins.
And
Two
then
teams head-to-head, 3 teams, points against.
points. Yeah.
No,
it's
a divisional record.
divisional
record.
record based on percentage. So if you played 5 games and
course,
you're
yeah.
2 and 3, it's 40%.
Okay.
And then
But everyone plays the same amount of divisional
sometimes
games.
not all the
In
time.
this season,
typically, yeah,
everything.
exactly. This season it's going to work out that way, but sometimes whatever.
Logically, yes.
And then after
We're
that,
not
it's-
logical all the time.
After that, it's points against. So if you are a defensive team, we do give the advantage to you on that.
Just dumb.
And what that does is it stops teams from trying to blow out other teams. and run up the
Exactly.
score.
Play
Essentially,
better.
A la Bill Belichick.
Play better. Don't get blown out.
That's it.
So, gentlemen, there are your rankings for Conference A.
Well, we'll do Conference A first.
Yeah, look, I love 2.5 Dans. I think they will be your eventual 1 seed in the playoffs for the
Whatever.
Conference A side of things here. I know some people are kind of rubbed the wrong way by the Punisher, but they're a good football team. I
Yeah.
know people don't like their bravado and how they sort of rub people the wrong way, but look, they can easily be the 1 seed. They lost 2.5 Dans early in the season. I think that would be a different matchup if they were to have a collision course at some point.
Yep.
Look, when you see a Killer Instinct team, no fly zone, are they really legit top tier contenders? I don't think they are. Not right now, they're not. They have not impressed me at all, especially no fly zone given what they have in their roster. So I think right now you look at this whole picture, we know who the top 2 teams are. I think those top 2 teams will eventually meet each other in the conference final.
Really?
I think so.
No, I'm not saying that. So, I'm going to go. 2.5 Downs, obviously, they're. Pains me to say this.
Sorry, can you say that louder, please?
They're playing. They're playing really well.
Terry said they're playing really well.
And having said that about 2.5 Downs, I think that I see a team like No Fly Zone be able to maybe make a run, just pure on experience. But then I could see teams like the Zoo be able to upset Special in the playoffs and make it to the finals as well. I mean, this division, this conference, we always said it was the tougher conference. Hitman Retro have been on a tear lately, and Carmine Police making a case for Receiver of the Year. You can't count these guys out either. So I mean, any team can finish the top here.
Look, I think him and Retro, they're good, but they've been too up and down. I mean, they've had some great games. First couple of weeks, they were slow out of the gates. We thought this may be the wrong division. They picked it up halfway through the year.
Yeah.
But you wonder, though, I mean, maybe playoff experience does factor in, and they do have that little leap of faith. But realistically speaking here, can they beat 2.5 Dans again? Oh, they were almost close, but they couldn't do it, though, in the second half of that
They were
game.
almost close.
They were almost close.
I like being almost close. I've been almost close a few times.
Okay, fair
And then
enough.
I messed up the ratings. Next conference. Conference B, PC.
Conference B, we have the three teams leading the charge are Grip and Rip, Primetime, and STL. Grip and Rip has 16 points, followed by Primetime's 10, and then STL has 14 points. Then the remaining teams that have not yet clinched are Damps 25-8 at 10 points, Game Changers at 8 points, Team Ethnic and Brotherhood also at 8 points, the Simon Dagenet-led and Befallen Snatchers at 7 points.
Befallen, eh?
Yeah, they will be. Followed by Preds Light and Top Sauce at 6 points.
Top Sauce.
Les Bleus Branlard at 4 points, Keyboard Lock at 4 points, and the already eliminated KGP Champs.
I like KGP Champs a lot here, guys.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah, I think they can.
Phil Cutler can do it. I think he can do it. So what are we looking at here? What do you want to know? Who's going to make it out of all the teams that are maybe close? I think Brotherhood are going to keep in. Team Ethnic is going to stay in. Game Changers, they're going to stay in as well. So now it's going to come down to Snatchers and Preds Light. Top Sauce, I don't know who you guys playing this week, Eagle? Yeah, Eagle doesn't even know who he's playing against. That's why they're going to lose.
It's good sign.
They have Serve with Heat.
They have Served with Heat. I
mean, that's Served with Loss.
That's going to be a Served with Loss. And then the Brotherhood. So that's a solid 0-2 right there for the Top Sauce. Now, Preds Light is a team that I think we've said at the beginning of the year we thought they were going to be very good, and they haven't performed, but they're also playing in a higher division for the first time. And I don't know. We'll see what SBB can do, but I think they can make it. They can make it through and take over the Snatchers. Because the rocket launcher tends to choke.
Yeah.
The Grenadier.
I don't know if you've seen it, but he chokes. So.
And not the good way. No.
Well, if we're choking him and he stops playing football, then that's the good way.
Preds Light, man. I'm not buying them at all.
No.
I don't think they if they get in, they won't go far.
But they can get good matchups. Like, they have a lot of speed and they have some size. All they got to do is find that one with not a good rush.
They need to find someone who can accurately throw the ball to the speed, however. Because SBB, look, he's a great playmaker, but he's not a great thrower of the football.
We talked about it last week, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. I mean, he uses his feet a lot. He might use his feet to his disadvantage sometimes. I don't think so. I think anybody who can run the ball is automatically a step higher than anybody else. But I don't know. You're right. He hasn't been able to throw the ball.
In the playoffs, you need to.
And you got to be able to give Jacob Burnett the ball.
Exactly.
Jacob Burnett has to be your number one receiver. He has to be the number one receiver in the league for you to make this team better.
I'll say this: whoever loses the GNR STL game, I feel bad for whoever has to play this team in
one of those teams again,
because essentially they'll be pissed off that we lost that game. We could have been the one seed more or less in the playoffs. Yeah. Brotherhood, we spoke about it before. They're peaking in the right, or going in the right direction, peaking at the right time to make a potential playoff run. Team Ethnic, it's a team that has given fits to some of their opponents, but I wonder though, are they consistent enough to go out there and win a critical game? And they've shown flashes
of greatness. They showed flashes of terribleness this week when they played against GNR. This is a game that they needed to win. This is a kind of, we need to solidify ourselves in this division. Yeah. We need to win this game to essentially be one game away from the playoffs, and they couldn't come up, and they put up, I don't know what they ended up scoring. When I left, it was 39-13 the other way through for GNR. I mean, I don't know about John Brown, but he played well, but the rest of his team around is not doing much. John Pittard is awesome.
I think it'd be agreed upon that with John Brown. He is better quarterback when he has a lead in hand as opposed to being in trail where he's down, say, 7 or 14 points, and he's got to come from behind.
His play calling is based on always getting a touchdown.
Yeah.
No, but always getting a touchdown. It's not based on methodically moving the ball.
No.
Which is, I mean, he can work some games, he can work other games. John Brown is a really good quarterback when he wants to be. If he just takes it, gets out of his own head, and when he gets in his own head, that's what happens.
But it's to Mo's point, like he when things are going well for him, he's unstoppable. And then when things don't always go his way, he pouts like a little boy. Not really, but he plays as if he was pouting like a little boy.
Yeah, I can't wait to play him this week.
All right, team's chances here. Longhorns, Cream Team, West Park, Top Citizens. When you rank their chances...
Top Citizen out. They're terrible, man.
They're awful.
They're not good at all. And you know what? They could be great because they have a lot of good athletes on their team.
But West Park, this is to call you guys out. Next time you come with a player who's not that player, shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame.
Shame from Wokan.
For shame.
We'll have you walk through the village
Cream
wearing
team.
no clothing, and we'll say shame and ring the bell.
Cream Team, though, they've played better
They play better this year. I mean, like I told you at the beginning of the year, you weren't a fan there. At one point, they were 1-4, and you weren't a fan. I said, listen, they're gonna play, and they're gonna play hard. And then they're 2-2 now. You know what I mean? Like they're 2-2 since then, and they're playing good teams, and they're playing well, and their offense is kicking in. And I mean, Matt Mona, just give him the ball, and he'll be able to score touchdowns. They had a really chippy game against Top Season this week, and I mean, they're just overall they're very good. I'm a very big fan of Cream Team.
Longhorns, fast starters. They've look, it's been tough on them.
It's a young division. It's a very young division.
Young man's division.
It's a young man's division, and they haven't been able to keep up. What's his name? Brian, the receiver. He didn't play all year, though. He played last game.
Brian Martin.
Brian Martin. Man, this guy's a beast.
Yeah.
He is really
4
good.
TDs, yeah.
And if he played all year, I think it maybe would have been a little bit different, but you can't rely on Aggie to be your number one receiver. Brian needs to be there. And they have a few good players on defense, but the STL was able to get in their head, and it was too easy for them to...
I like Longhorn meat, but this Longhorn meat's not very tasty right now. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's just you start off so quick, but you got to be able to last. Otherwise,
Old age, bro.
Well, steaks,
age.
man. Steaks are cooked in a
When you're old,
particular
you're
way.
old. Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the heavyweight matchup for this week. GNR STL, which could arguably be the potential winner of the entire Div C. Who knows? Or maybe a conference final as well. Question is this the preview of the Conference B final that we might have in a few weeks?
Well, I said prime time. I don't know if I'm going to stick to my guns on that one. STL's been playing unreal, man. They're good. I watched them play, and even though they had like maybe 45 drop balls, I'd say, in that game, they still ended up winning the Longhorns. And Dylan Taylor is he's commanded this team, and he owns it, and he runs it like a well-oiled machine. And I would put good money on STL making a run straight to the finals and beating GNR if they have to play them in the finals.
How big of a statement game is it for STL, given how many also-rans they've defeated, like teams who don't even combine to have 6 wins?
Like I said before, it's a tough division, okay? And the fact that they're handling all these teams, it means a lot. It's not that they're coming close against these also-ran teams, which I have no idea what that means, by the way, but I learn something new every day. But overall, I just think that
also-ran teams?
Also-rans?
Also-rans?
Also-rans, never heard of that.
Also-rans.
You're the English guy, not me.
Apparently not today.
Not today. Anyway, I just think that it's a big-time statement game. Big-time statement game. ADD kicked in. Forgot the question.
If you're STL, are you worried more about Vinny Galano's throwing ability or buying himself time?
Vinny Galano
to throw the ball. He does that move, right?
Wait, the question is, am I worried about him
throwing right away? Because if you look at his stats this year, right, his receiving core, they all have 20-plus catches, but he also does that little dead leg move where he goes one way, buys himself time, rolls out.
He uses it very well. And he's able to
here's my thing, though. You like Vinny Galano as a quarterback, but don't like Jolie Taylor.
I never said I didn't
basically the same, except one's prettier.
Well, who's prettier, man?
Vinny, obviously.
Exactly.
But are you worried that he can buy himself time in the pocket, or him making that quick throw right away?
I'm worried about him buying himself time in the pocket, but it's not going to happen against Terrence Adams. So Vinny's got to figure something out.
Well, that being said, Terrence Adams at times can take a very direct line and get burnt by a quick move by a quarterback.
True.
You've seen it happen by even quarterbacks that aren't mobile. But Terrence Adams is the only guy who stops Terrence Adams.
But exactly, that's a good one. Terrence Adams is also the only guy that plays well when you talk smack to him, like really hard. And Vinny loves to talk shit.
I never noticed.
No, never.
Well, completely, actually.
Vinny loves to talk smack, and the fact that he's going to start getting Terrence's head, and it's going to work, and Terrence is going to get pissed, and he's going to play well, and that's Terrence. And Terrence is one of the better rushers in this division.
One GNR receiver that worries you the most. Remember, 6 guys have 20-plus catches on this roster.
Sean Avram, man. Nobody talks about Sean Avram, and Sean Avram's a beast. Who? I would have said Matt Silva.
Matt Silva's having a great year.
Yeah, Matt Silva's having a sick year. But I talk about him every week. James Donald, man. James Donald. Why not?
Should Vinny Galano be worried about it, as in Jamie Ojea lining up?
Of course, you got to worry about it. I mean, he's a clown. He comes out of your drains. I mean, it's scary stuff.
Sure thing, Stephen King.
Nice, you got the reference. I was worried there for a moment.
STL.
Am I worried about Jamie? We'll talk about. Worried about it. Let's say, even though he does look like it. Now that I think about it, he does look like it. Holy, he looks like it, man.
Yeah.
That hair.
Yeah.
A little bit of a receding hairline. He looks like it.
You tell him that.
I'm gonna tell. Well, he's listening for sure. Whoa. Good player though.
STL. Do they need to score more than 35 points to have a chance? Because GNR can put up points if they want to.
GNR can put up points, so can STL. I think that STL needs to just their game plan should not be, well, obviously it's to score touchdowns, but their game plan should be to shut down Vinny and cover that deep ball because he throws it very well on the run, especially. Terrence Adams has to have a huge game this week.
All right, yes or no? GNR, if they win this game, undefeated season.
Who are they playing the week after? They're playing the
I think they have a
Longhorns.
cupcake game afterwards.
Longhorns?
You know, like the
Let me
Alabama's
get that for you,
Playing the
gentlemen.
cupcakes.
The final game of the season
playing
is
Hitman
against
Retro.
Hitman Retro.
Hitman Retro. I'm gonna say 10-0. I'm gonna say if they win, they're gonna go 9-1. They're gonna lose this game to STL, and then they're gonna beat STL in the conference finals.
Okay.
That's a lot of information to answer a different
Yeah.
question.
One guy who's your Stevie G of the week. I have my guy.
This week,
Yeah. Should I go
Terrence
first?
Adams. I'm gonna say Terrence Adams.
Patrick Saint Armand.
Saint Amand from the zoo.
Yep. You don't like him.
I never said I didn't like him.
When I give my top 5, but this guy's what's he
To be
doing?
fair, Terry, that does sound exactly like your
This
voice.
sounds exactly like me.
top 5. What's he doing your top 5 for?
Yeah, because you had the most ridiculous people in your
And
top
they
5.
love me for that.
Yeah. Okay. Keep on getting your third receivers and your grinders. Okay. I'm gonna take the top and win.
Yeah.
What was known for you using Grinder?
Yeah. Or grinder.
Okay, guys.
grind it.
Okay, guys. All right, enough of your shenanigans. Enough of your little dilly-dally talk over here.
Dilly dally. He also uses dilly dallies.
Yes.
Next person to say shenanigans is getting pistol whipped. You guys don't get that reference?
It's now time for
That
Picks
sounds
of the
familiar.
Week. Let's go back to the show
Super
here.
Troopers. Yes. I was
Picks
trying
of
to
the-
figure it out.
Picks of the week, please.
This week in Picks of the Week starts with one of the tightest matchups that I believe we'll see on the schedule. Longhorns take on West Park, and the Longhorns are favored by 1.5 points.
Now, quickly before we get our picks, this is essentially a playoff game here. Whoever loses the game is more or less
Is Audi
Out of-
5000
yeah.
take it sleazy. And these spreads came from Atlantic City.
Absolutely.
Okay.
actually came from Idaho.
I got.
Idaho, yeah.
Well,
the state of the potato.
It was actually a potato farmer from Idaho. Now is a bookie in Atlantic City. Good guy. Trust him.
His name is Pete the Shoe.
His name is in fact Pete the Shoe.
Roxy
Potato the Shoe.
Roxborough.
He's known for beating the shoe.
I'm going to take West Park on this one to win. Big because Aggie coached a lot of these guys in midget. We'll see what happens. That's a little inside
Give
info.
me the Longhorns.
Think Longhorns?
Give me the Longhorns to win. Absolutely. Next game.
And the most visually disturbing game, just because of all the numbers related, Dams 25-8 take on 2.5 Dans. There is a 6.5 point spread.
25-8
2.5
Dans take on
are
2.5
favorites. Will you pick against them for the 40th straight week?
What's the spread?
6.5 points for 2.5 Dans.
I'm gonna go Dams on this one. Dams for
To
the
win it or with the
no,
spread?
just to win and not to cover the spread. No, sorry.
Well, it's
For the
2.5.
spread and not
Okay,
to
so
win.
take the points.
Yeah, hit the points. My mistake.
Maybe you shouldn't gamble.
Dans will win, but they won't cover the spread. Next game.
Well, gambling is when you give people money and you don't get it back.
Primetime looks like a zoo when things don't go well. They take on the zoo this week, and the zoo is favored by 3.5 points.
Zoo is favored by 3.5 points. I'm gonna take prime time on this one. Bounce back game.
Give me Zoo.
In the battle of acronyms, GNR take on STL, and GNR is favored by a whopping 10.5 points. Although Smart Money, Smart Money, from what I've heard, is on STL.
I'm taking STL. On
You're taking the points?
GNR, brother.
The points and the win.
Taking GNR plus the points, big boy.
Can we have a bet on the show?
I think we
Can we have a bet on the show, please?
Right now? We're gonna bet $1,000 right now. Let's go.
$1,000.
What do you mean?
Chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk. What are we 5?
The
I love chocolate milk. I'm in.
The loser has to feed chocolate milk to the winner.
Okay, yes.
Okay, we'll do it on air.
It might take a few weeks for him to remember, though.
Yeah, sure. It might
You know
be
what,
in this
Eagle?
carton here.
Hope you enjoyed that chocolate milk.
It was delicious.
Straw in hand? Sure, like to have some chocolate milk? Yeah, sure.
Like that?
Yeah, so 10.5 points.
10.5 Dans.
And that's Picks of the Week for this week, boys.
What did you learn on today's episode?
I learned that I will get to see a man feed another man chocolate milk next week.
Eagle?
I learned that Mo Khan is a lot more fun to listen to when he's really pissed.
Terrace?
I learned that I can play basketball on these bad boys right here.
I'm also wearing loafers for basketball.
Look at that, man. No socks. Well, I got my
learned-
little ballerina socks.
No, I don't have socks.
No, ballerina socks.
I learned
Fixed
I've
ankle.
not lost my Dikembe Mutombo shot blocking skills.
No.
You blocked a shot from a 5-foot girl.
And Terry Town.
Who's basically a 5-foot girl.
Basically.
Good morning,
In
South
loafers.
Korea.
If you are watching and or listening, you are watching or listening to Calling the Audible, the premier show on the FPF Podcast Network.
It's 10:10. There's no one left.
There's no one left. But when you listen to the show later this week, you'll know that you're watching. So you're either watching the tape version of Calling the Audible or listening to it in your car or wherever it is you listen to your podcasts.
Let's say hello to the 5 viewers that
Hey,
are watching
5.
live at
5.
10:10 at night.
Thanks.
Hi, Mom.
They're all troopers. Hi, GM's mom. You're still beautiful as ever.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Peasy's mom. Hi, Mocon's
Our
mom.
female demographics are really through the roof now.
Honestly, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. We do have some females here present watching the show, and I didn't know they were going to be here, so I'm going to lead my show with something that might get me in trouble. GM, you and I have recently acquired roommates. By that, in that we're living with our significant others, and part of that, when stuff changes when you move in with someone. Some stuff very positive, some stuff very negative, some stuff just odd. And one thing I've noticed is, and like it goes in patterns. So not all things happen all at once. So certain habits exist for a little while and they go away. Some come back.
Some
One
become more
is that.
apparent.
So my current roommate and better half. She tends to talk in her sleep, as it turns out. so there's a couple of. She's woken me up.
Hold on. You talking about yourself?
No. I'm talking about someone who's going to make me sleep on the couch later tonight. Because again, I thought we'd be just the boys tonight. But so in her sleep, she has said the following things to me without any explanation. She's woken me up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to say, "Hey, thing one, you're so Latin," but angrily. And I don't even know what that means because I'm not Latin. She is. I don't know why it would be an insult and what I did to make myself so Latin while I was sleeping. Another one was she woke me up to criticize my team building skills. As she said, if Darksiders has all these superstars, then why isn't Min on Darksiders?
Mintone Tat.
Mintone Tat, who played with me, with Culminati, with Checkmate, with Moose. And then last night, she woke up to say, "I have your brother's shorts." And I said, "What?"
That just begs more questions.
Seriously. But then she looked down at herself and then was puzzled by the fact that she was not in fact wearing his shorts. So this is all very confusing.
I mentioned off-air, just on that subject of female roommates as well, I mentioned off-air that I knew I was in trouble because I'm definitely the messier one of the three of us, of myself, Kate, and our roommate Antoine. Kate,
your actual roommate.
She said, do you know that you live with 2 women and the most shoes around the house are yours?
I have a similar problem. But anyway,
and that's not counting football cleats. Speaking of football cleats, we have a podcast.
We do a podcast. Welcome everyone, and of course, sorry for the long-lasting intro, but it's kind of my trademark, so I went with it. If you're watching, of course, you know that we are in the Sporteria Cage, where if cage is cage, then cage is cage. If you have not yet got your jerseys for next season, remember that if they are the official jersey sponsor for Flag Plus Football,
Including shorts.
If you need shorts, perhaps.
Because apparently Duke does.
You can get them designed and produced by Sportera. GM, let's get into the action. Global Gym Purple Cobras beat DG Goons 46-20. GGPC have now played themselves into the playoff picture. They're 3-0 in their division. Is their sub-500 record due in part to their schedule?
No, I think it's due largely to the fact that they've had inconsistencies at quarterback. Their defense hasn't played up to the potential that we thought they were at. We thought of them to be maybe a 2 seed or a 3 seed, and it didn't necessarily
like a 2.5
become
seed.
a 2.5 seed. I like
See
that.
what I did there?
And they haven't really played up to that potential as of yet. And it's sort of unfolding a little bit as of now.
David DePaula, known for his rushing ability, caught 2 touchdown passes in this game. Is this his breakout game on offense?
I think so, absolutely. He's a very, very solid defender. We're starting to see his emergence on offense as well. That being said, the last quarterback that he had was Pease.
Yeah.
And
Well, to be
you
honest,
need someone who's going to feed you touchdowns in order to have a breakout season.
To be honest, and that's kind of why I want to shout him out, because I did play with him, and he's a great dude and a very good athlete. And other than the fact that he had a terrible quarterback, he also came in not ever playing football, not knowing any of the routes. I would have to sort of draw the route on his chest in the first season. So to see him emerge is absolutely awesome. So David, keep it up, man. Keep up the good work. You're a great dude, and I'm glad that this team is working out for you. Why are DG Goons so inconsistent?
Because they can't field the same roster they fielded last year. They've added Steve Sander, which is a step in the right direction, but losing out 3 other guys counterbalances this immensely. It's never the same guys week in, week out. Derek Fontana seems to be regressing as a receiver.
It could be that he's just not getting the ball.
He's dropped a lot of balls though this year.
And he's told me, he's the first one to say, he said, I feel like I've been letting down both my teams recently. He's been targeted a lot. He's a deceptive deep threat receiver, but just hasn't been able to corral the ball in when the game's on the line.
If you've played long enough in this league, unless you're absolutely a top tier star, you're going to have seasons like that. You'll have bad games, but then at some point you even get to have bad seasons. But I'm sure he's got enough talent. He'll rebound. I don't think he's going to be the problem for DG Goons moving forward. Are you surprised that they allowed 46 points with the defensive mastermind and player Steve Sander there for DG Goons?
No, not at all. Okay. Sander can only be in so many places at one time.
I saw him play in his first game with DG Goons. He was everywhere.
Yep. And that being said, even having a defender that's everywhere, if there isn't a consistent rush on the quarterback, and B, you see the offense sees a lot of matchups that they can exploit aside from center, there's not a lot he can do. Like, he can call a great defense. He can be almost everywhere. But with that in mind, there will be times where the defense will show as porous as it is.
That's fair. In a game, summer's a time of love. And in a game between my old love and my new love, the Alpha T's beat Jägerbomb 45-25. The Alpha T's may be good enough to win a championship, in my opinion. Tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm nuts. Tell me you don't see it, because there's just something special when I see this team play.
There is every year that one team that comes out of nowhere and defies a lot of expectations because media members haven't given them enough exposure and haven't seen them play to know the true gems that they are. And Alpha T's have all the findings of that right now.
You know what you remind me of? Sorry, PC.
Go ahead, sorry.
This Alpha T's squad reminds me of the Jägerbombs from winter season 2015.
Yeah. And look, honestly,
I was leaning a little bit more towards the family.
Oh.
They remind me a little bit of the family, but yeah.
Look, the last few teams that I've sort of become enamored with early in the season, it was Game Changers, it was Jägerbomb. Now I'm saying Alpha T's. I'm telling you guys, I see something special. I see something in the same way, maybe not to the same level as Game Changers. Obviously, they went undefeated and won a championship in their first season. But like Jägerbomb, who's a team that's good to begin with, and is only going to get better in each season, in my opinion. But I think, honestly, given the right matchups and getting into the playoffs, I think this is a team that can surprise a lot of teams and even win a championship if all the stars line up the right way. In this one, we see Jesse Dupuis had 3 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6. Marc-Antoine Vallée with another one. I think their D is really what puts this team on the map. What do you think, GM? Do you think this team is really led by their defense, or are they a little bit more balanced than I'm giving them credit for?
Defense does win championships.
Except in FPF.
No, not except in FPF.
I don't know. Lower divisions, you tend to see the offensive teams do well in the playoffs.
Fair. That being said, it takes a lot defensively to stop Jägerbomb, but it takes even more to score on Jägerbomb. So credit where credit is due to that offense as well, the Alpha T's offense, who were able to really put up a fight, and Jägerbomb now, who have lost for the second straight week, are in the rebuilding process.
Well, and that's it. And Jägerbomb, who normally have a very good defense, have allowed 31 points. They allowed 31 points the first half. Is this a symptom of a greater problem or just a freak week?
I think it has a lot to do with, I mentioned it earlier, when there's a consistent rush, quarterbacking does tend to sag a little bit for Jägerbomb.
Simon Duchesne?
Simon Duchesne, exactly. Simon Duchesne.
The first time I called out his name in a podcast, they called him Simon Duchesne.
Okay.
So, I've been working with my friend since then. Simon Duchesne. Absolutely.
I think that Jägerbomb are good when they have the favorable matchup. they fail to adjust when they don't. When they have a solid rush, when they seem to be figured out, they can't think outside the box to really come back from that. And that's a symptom of a semifinals knockout.
That's fair. Crimson Tide took on the Tyrants. They won the game 31-25. Crimson Tide have won 4 of the last 5. Tyrants are 2-3 in the same time frame. Is this a case of two teams starting to reveal their true character?
I think it's definitely a symptom of Crimson Tide revealing their true character. We were very high on them preseason, saying with this team, the way it's built and what they have on paper, there's no reason for them to be doing this poorly. And now they're finally starting to show their true colors. Their faces are poking through, if you will. And Tyrants had an off game, but you're saying showing their true colors. This was a game that was lost by a touchdown and a convert. Chris Kaliatzakis.
To be fair, Tyrants, even in seasons where they struggled, weren't always a team that got blown out. They lost a lot of close games. They were unable to close games in the past. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I meant.
I feel like in previous seasons there would be games where George Nectaris or John Kaliatzakis, whoever was quarterbacking Tyrants, would almost seemingly give the game away with a couple of bad interceptions or turnover rundowns. This isn't the case. This seems to be more shootouts between two teams where time clock management and ball control come into play, which is a more elevated game than just your quarterback throwing the game away for you.
You notice the Tyrants, their average plays per drive is usually about 7 to 8, maybe 9-10 plays, depending on how they run it. They always convert in third down opportunities. And they're definitely a different team with Nectaris at quarterback than they have with Kaliatzakis under the center snapping balls himself.
That's fair. Chris Painstono, speaking of quarterbacks, has started to play really well for Crimson Tide. Do you think he's started to figure it out, or is it just a result of the matchups?
He's starting to really call routes that get his receivers open, and he's calling routes that strengthen what his receivers bring to the table instead of just relying on throwing deep to Doug McKernan, throwing deep to someone else and getting intercepted. He's starting to call those triple slants that are so popular in the upper divisions. He's running a lot of chair routes as well, really spreading the scope and making sure that his receivers get separation from the defenders with the routes he calls.
That's fair. Who needs to step up for Tyrants before they let the season slip away?
This is a really tough one to say because it's odd. Those who need to step up have been. If you ask me of everyone who's the most talented, who's playing under their potential, it's Andre Frederick. Right now,
but he always kind of does. Like, he's so talented, and you see him warm up and run, and the guy is so fast, and he never really has numbers to show it. He never really has an impact. Like he's just one of these guys who's really good. But
I don't know if it's that he lacks the drive, or just isn't one of those guys who you want holding the shoulders on the team. You want him as the supporting cast member, because when the time comes, it seems like your expectation, you feel almost let down considering what talent he has.
Actually, stats-wise, this is his second best season in his career. His best year came in spring 2013 when he had 50 catches for 437 yards and about 9 TDs.
I played on that team.
That's right. This year, 33 catches, 312 yards, and 5 TDs.
But again, it's the 5 TDs. You know what I mean? And the guy with his level of ability, you do expect more. I expect a lot from a lot of different people, especially the team I have on this podcast. When we come back from break, we're going to take all that talent, take a look at the playoff picture, and dissect it, and see what it looks like moving forward.
Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for CEGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information or visit www.distanted.ca for more details.
Welcome back, everyone. You were listening to and perhaps watching Calling the Audible. I don't have a long rant to start this segment of the show, but I will reintroduce the cast of characters. To my right, I have Jim Calethris. He can be followed at ColetioS or at GMCole44. The technical director is, in fact, the Eagle at Master Control. He is soaring through the skies, making sure that we look nice and pretty every single week. To my left, I got our producer, Mo Khan. He's the one who keeps us on track, keeps us on task, and yells at me off the air.
Oh my God, I didn't realize Jim had a Wild Cherry Pepsi can with him.
They have Wild Cherry Pepsi?
In that size.
Thank you.
It's actually fantastic. I'm a big Dr. Pepper fan myself.
Yeah, same here.
So anything cherry cola related, I'm immediately on the
It's so rare to find that in Montreal, let alone in Canada.
While I get to drink from this non-sponsored can of Pepsi, Cherry Cola Pepsi,
Sportier, cherry cola.
Sportier Wild Cherry Pepsi,
Yeah.
please give us the breakdown of Conference A before we
All right.
dive into ourselves.
I'm thinking of a number from 0 to 20. Sorry, 0 to 26. What is it?
8.
PZ?
19. No, it's 19. It's 19.
Easy.
Say 19.
19?
1. As in, there's one team eliminated from the entire playoff picture of the 26 teams in Division D.
And before you actually read them out, Mokan, I just want to point out the standings are currently on the screen for our audio listeners only. You can see the
So what do
file.
they care if it's on the screen?
So they can go check it out on the Flag Plus Facebook group. There's a link to an Excel file where you can always go check the up-to-date standings.
Okay, let's look at Conference A. 2 teams have clinched so far out of 8. Formerly teamless in the 1 spot with 14 points. 5-star prospects in the 2 spot with 14 points. Number 3, Hot Boys Hotline with 10 points. Tyrants in the 4 with 10 points. In the 5 spot, we have clustered teams. Crimson Tide with 8 points. In the 6 spot, Diablos with 8. Bronx Bombers in the 7 with 8 points. Global Gym Purple Cobras in the 8 spot with 6 points. On the outside looking in, Show Me Your TDs, Part of My Swag, and Wolfpack 9, 10, 11. D Dragoons Hooligans are 12 and 13.
Yeah. So, GM, looking at this, we have formerly teamless, your team, leading the pack, with 5-star prospects right behind, technically due to tiebreakers. Of the two, which one do you think will end the season as the top dog in Conference A?
Considering they don't play each other, this really does come down to matchups. I'm very tempted to say my own team. However, coming up, formerly teamless, have Wolfpack, who have been struggling, but also have Crimson Tide, who are in 5th right now, who are another high seed. Whereas, Mo, if you could bring up the 5-star prospects schedule, with it's very contingent on their 2 remaining games, because it all comes down to matchups here, considering these 2 don't play each other and won't have that head-to-head. Mm-hmm. We know that these 2 will finish 1 and 2 based on their conferences, but based on that...
Diablos, Show Me Your TDs for 5-star prospects.
I don't know. Diablos are very, very resilient. Diablos are very, very resilient, and that could be a trap game for them.
Fair.
And just looking at this right now, like sitting in the 1 seed currently, formerly teamless, I don't like it. Like, looking at who's 8th, 7th, and 6th, I'd rather play the 2, 3, or 4 seeds. Or 9th, considering Show Me Your TDs are 9.
Well, and that's my next question. Is if we look at it, we see sort of from 5 to 11, we have Crimson Tide, Diablos, Bronx Bombers, Global Gym Cobras sitting there. Then, right behind them, we have Show Me Your TDs, Part of My Swag, Wolfpack. How do you see the 5 through 8 seeds shaping out? Who do you think will make the jump in, and who will fall out of the playoff standings?
Crimson Tide and Diablos are definitely going to get it in.
Nice.
I have Bronx. I have Bronx Bombers, who I have a lot of faith in. They've been up and down. However, the default win over Wolfpack does help them immensely. Mm-hmm. It's going to come down to Global Gym Purple Cobras and Show Me Your TDs, I think. And right now,
there's so many head-to-heads where Show Me Your TDs beats Diablos, but lost a Part of My Swag and faces Global Gym Purple Cobras. So there's a lot of head-to-heads just between those 4 teams. Mm-hmm. And then it comes down to, will they be 3-way ties? Will they be 2-way ties? Of course, the tiebreaker being head-to-head games doesn't count if it's a 3-way tie or more.
It all comes down to what teams show up and bring their money to the field.
Interesting.
The song.
Oh, I see. Okay, there we go.
I thought fees were due in week 3.
By now they should be paid. So let's go into Conference B. MK, give us a breakdown. You said the only team, of course, the only team to be eliminated is the Blue Devils from Conference B. Let's talk to us about the
6 teams have clinched. There's 2 spots available. The teams have clinched: Warhawks in the 1 spot, Gotham Knights in the 2 spot, Backyard Bullies in the 3 spot, D's Nets in the 4.
Got him.
Les Affreux in 5, Jager Bombs in 6. Now, there's 2 spots to be had. Alpha Tees and Tomahawk Nightmare both hold those spots with 8 points each in the 7 to 8 spot. Bromigos, Junkyard Dog, Les Eggs, Sticky Hands all have 4 points. So essentially, if Alpha Tees and Tomahawk Nightmare, if they win 1 out of 2, more or less, they will clinch a playoff spot moving forward.
It just seems like for me anyway, this conference has already been set in a sense. The Alpha Tees and Tomahawk Nightmare just played so much better than the remaining teams in Bromigos, Junkyard Dogs, Les Aigles, and Sticky Hands, even though they're only separated by 2 wins.
If there's a team I think that's going to springboard in, which I don't think is the case, I think this is basically your 1 through 8. I think it's going to be Les Aigles. Looking at Bromigos and Junkyard Dogs, who simply haven't been enough. Les Aigles are the next contender, but even then, they're behind the black ball right
Let's
now.
not forget, Tomahawk Nightmare may not have Jeff Marquis for the rest of the year because he is in Madrid hanging out with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, when's he getting back? Does anyone have that?
Well, according to what I was told, he might not be back for another 2 or 3 weeks. So essentially, he may be out for the rest of the regular season. And they did lose with Dave Santoma at quarterback earlier this week to primetime. So we'll see how that unfolds for them.
Just to note, because we had this conversation off air, it's not Nick Santomo, which would not fit the cap. It is David Santomo,
David Santomo,
who's also a very
Santomo.
good FPF player. Chantomo, actually, I should actually pronounce that properly, considering.
There's
However,
going to be a lot of
having that influence from his brother and having played with God Skills with Les Monsieur Chat, I think that Chantomo is a great addition to this team.
Conference B. There's going to be a lot of cannibalizing come playoff time. There's a lot of strong teams.
And that was my question. Now is
I'm fine with that.
where do you
I played in Conference A.
do you see any do you see any movement from these teams from 1 through 8 before the playoffs start? Do you see any teams moving up drastically? Any teams moving down drastically?
The only real movement right now might be the 2 seed in Gotham Knights, based on how close that race is. I mean, Warhawks aren't going anywhere. They're definitely staying in the 1 seed right now. So depending on how fast my phone loads and the difference between the difference.
We need to get better internet in this building.
And I'm running off of the. Actually, I should switch from Wi-Fi to LTE. Yeah, that helped.
Yeah,
immensely.
I've been on LTE since week 5.
Right now, Gotham Knights can be superseded by Jaegerbomb.
That's
and
fair.
I think it's a possibility considering they rate the ship quickly.
Well, we're going to have to see how that shakes out next few weeks. It will be exciting football, so I do urge everyone to get out to the field to check it out if possible. But for now, it's time we go out of bounds with GM. Each week I make up a list of fake topics that we're going to talk about on the podcast, but we decided let's talk about them on the podcast so they won't be fake topics no more.
I'm excited for these. It's by and far not a popular segment, I'm sure.
You know what? It's fun for us.
Yes.
Therefore, there will be at least 2 people who enjoy it, and I know Mokan hates it. So
Well, no,
that
actually,
makes me
the
exceptionally
hooligans didn't understand my reaction to their name when I said English hooligan wannabes. They thought I was saying that they were punks.
happy. Yes, which you kind of implied.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, but English football hooligans are punks.
So let's start the segment
Maybe.
out of bounds with GM Calethris. GM, what is the worst food baby you've ever had?
Actually, this is topical because you wrote this not knowing that I ate a lot of Chinese food yesterday night and did not wake up in good shape at all.
See, I wrote this planning to go to Poutine Fest, and I knew it was coming for me, and after our 4th of July barbecue at my parents' house, which eating at my parents' house is guaranteed food baby. MK, food baby, worst one. And was it
baby?
during Ramadan?
Food baby as in what? Like when I was a kid, what I ate?
No, like when you
When
get pregnant, you know how much food you've eaten.
Yeah, and then you have to give birth on the porcelain.
Oh, God. Oh,
I would imagine it's when you're breaking fast, right? Like that must.
yeah. Well, hence 2 weeks ago, right?
2 weeks ago, you couldn't sit in your seat.
Yeah, and that was the day before, right? So,
Now that you're living with your better half, GM, do you need to run out to Tim Hortons to deliver your food baby?
I use a faith-based system where I pray that she's going to be out of the house or just can't hear me. And
Yeah, I don't know. I've had to order so many black coffees at Tim Hortons. I can't keep drinking those because then it has a negative
it's a
effect.
vicious cycle.
Because it sends me back to Tim Hortons, so it's a problem. GM, is cold yoga the next trend in men's health fitness?
That's absolutely atrocious. Have you ever tried to do anything cold? You're shivering, you're chattering, muscles get pulled. I think that's a terrible idea. I can't even play football in the cold.
Yeah, but lots of things are
water
terrible
yoga?
ideas, and it still goes. Like CrossFit, for example. Let's do 3 different activities halfway through.
Oh, and it's like the opposite of Fight Club, where if you do CrossFit, all you have to talk about is
It's CrossFit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like being a vegan. Also, So if you were to do cold yoga, would you prefer the
Were you about to
walk-in
say cold fit? Because I like that.
cold fit? If you're gonna do cold fit or cold yoga, would you prefer doing a walk-in fridge or a highly air-conditioned room?
Walk-in fridge.
A very, very air-conditioned room.
All right, MK. Which iteration of yoga would you do?
Warm weather, brother.
Warm weather? You're like the Bikram dude?
Yeah, look, given that my family background is warm weather climates, we don't survive well in the cold. Our skin gets really ashy.
That's fair. That's fair. Give me 3 made-up studies that your mom is convinced will be detrimental to your life or will be the end of the world. Because I know mom science is very popular.
Mom science is very popular. I really wish I looked at this in advance because I'm sure there's a few of them. Since I can't think of one, I can bring up the topic that my mom was really, really upset today and called me because she could not take out, I know this is a first world problem, but you cannot take out more than a certain amount at the bank teller at once. If it's a large
I've never had that problem.
If it's a larger dollar amount, because we were paying our contractor.
Naturally.
And if it's more than a large dollar amount, odds are the bank doesn't have it on hand. And my mom was really upset by this because she said, if I go into a shoe store, I don't point at a picture and then they say, we'll bring it to you in about 2 to 3 days. She said,
but they may not have your size. And also, like, isn't your background Greek? So
Yes.
shouldn't they be used to banks that have no money?
Yes.
So that's out of bounds with GM Collaterals. I had some other questions to ask you, but I completely forgot. Anyway, mom science is real. It's sweeping the nation. And remember, it's made up, but may still kill you.
I feel like Mrs. Khan would have great mom
Yeah.
science
Do you have some mom science?
Yeah. I saw her about steak the other day. I go, I should have started eating steak. Why do you want to eat steak for? You look like a horse.
True science right there. That's the true science.
It brings out the inner equestrian in you.
Absolutely. I'm going to go 4-1 this week because I forgot what my second point was.
4-1, great, best defense in FPF.
Sure. I'm going to go for 1. I would just say man's the best defense. You just don't have the athletes to do it. But if my going for 1 this week is specifically, I had an issue with a referee during a game. I argued with Tom Cesare about a ruling. Turns out he was completely right.
CFL ref.
Yeah, no, but it's true. But look, lots of refs make mistakes, and it's not a question of quality. Sometimes it's just referees ref in different leagues. FPF has a lot of strange rules, like the one I was arguing. If you want more information about it, of course, you can read it on our Facebook wall. And I went out of my way to apologize to Tom in a message, but as well on the Facebook wall for 2 reasons. 1, so that teams can be aware of rules like this that are not necessarily common. And secondly, we call out refs all the time. And whenever we're in the wrong, we never go out to say, hey, you know what, ref actually did a good job. Kudos to him. So I really want to extend it to Tom to say, you know what, Tom, great job. I appreciate it. I appreciate his effort as well as all the other referees and all the time they commit to the league. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I had a ref call a pick play on our team.
Was it actually a pick play?
It was absolutely a pick play.
Did he engage and contact a player that was not guarding him?
Yes.
Then yes, it's a pick.
I know, but there are fewer than 3 officials in this entire league who will call that and be able to call it properly. Not only because it was explained to me that not only was he picking a defender, it wasn't the defender lined up in front of him.
That makes it a pick play.
Reminder, Week 10, all games will be in Brawl Stars, so this Sunday will be Brawl Star games for Week 10. And secondly, I can't stop laughing at that guy who tripped on himself.
Tell me you guys brought it up in the Diffsy
No,
podcast.
forgot.
we didn't.
Oh my
I'll
god.
toss Simon right in his article.
I love it because you see the double move, you see him fall over, and then you see him put his hands out and appeal to the referee like he's hoping for a tripping call.
Well, anyway, thank you, Mo.
You know who you are.
Thank you for all the wonderful production work. GM Collectors, thank you for being here with me this week. Eagle, thank you for everything you've done. And I'd like to thank Fred Millette for tripping on himself and giving the week. For everyone else, thank you for letting me be myself.
La, la, la.